Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Please do let me know.
Yes, sir, you are audible. You are audible.
Thank you. Uh, we can see almost 126 participants have joined. Okay, we will start now. Today's our topic agenda is software testing. Okay, and we will try to understand these basics as well as we will try to go further in more details. Also, we will try to have some kind of demos and we'll also try to see the kind of documentations also will be maintained for this particular software testing purpose. Yeah, good. Great. So let me just revise the kind of point before moving further. I hope most of you have created your AWS account.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
almost
sir.
good. And have you tried creating virtual machine? Have you tried deploying that simple application? Have you also tried installing that particular Docker?
Yes.
Okay, I don't get a lot of responses. That's why I'm just slightly doubtful. Others, please do take some time because once you forget then I think it would be very difficult for to again recollect. These all kind of commands you need to practice. Just by reading those commands you will not be able to remember very well. Okay, and in your CC exam also there might be commands would be written in wrong way and would ask question ki, what is wrong inside this. Okay, or for this particular task which is the command is required. So that is kind of thing will be actually asked you. So please do take care of very well.
Sir, what is the abbreviation for hyphen T, hyphen D, and hyphen P in the Docker commands?
Which one? Hyphen D for destination. Okay. Sorry, detached. Hyphen D for detached mode. That means I want to run this particular process in a background so that you can still give Linux commands. And dash P stands for port. On which particular port you want to keep this container running.
Sir,
Clear?
I tried to run it on 8000 and the internal port number I had changed, so it was not working. So is it that internal port number is fixed also for Node.js Express?
Which for which you are trying our application?
Yes, sir. The
You should.
GitHub application.
It should be. It should. You change that into what is that? App dot
Internal port number.
listen function. You change that 8000 to
No, no,
something
no,
one.
no, sir. Only the internal port number I have kept as 8000 colon 7000. So it
Now
was not.
listen. If you could just remember, where is that tower? Let me just show you. What is the mistake you have done? I'll tell you. HTTP. The repository was TFL store. No.
Yes, sir.
So you just try to change the port number in a command. Correct? No.
Yes, sir. Internal
Yeah.
one.
Now, did you make some change in the source code or you
No,
made
no.
the change only in command?
Only in command, sir.
That is the reason. Because let me tell you, your application should run on which port number. I think we always define under server.js file. Now, under the server.js file, could you see what is written inside this area?
8,000.
Ah, so you do one thing. If you really want to check that thing, no, so change this internal port number this and
Okay.
set that port and then give any kind of port number, external port number, whatever you want.
So, sir, app.listen, this 8000 is internal port number, right?
Yes, yes.
And the external port number for Node
That
NGS is
that's up to you, which you want to make it expose outside.
okay, okay, okay.
Any port from any port from 1 to 10241 port my port number 1 to uh, port number 1024. These are the kind of ports has been used by the operating system for its own purpose, like SMTP, SMTP port number, POP3 port number, and USB port number, and parallel port number, USB 1, USB 2 port number, HDMI port number. Correct? No? So
Yes.
these are reserved numbers. So any particular result number you just avoid, and then you can pass it as an external port number. Clear?
Got it, sir.
Good. Fantastic. Chalo. So let's come back to our point. Software testing. I think this is one of the phase of software engineering, no? SDLC. When you talk about software development life cycle, under software development life cycle, we have analysis, we have design, we have development, and we also have a testing. And then it goes for deployment and further maintenance. So that is the way your software development life cycle has been taken place. So in that area, your product will be only made available to the customers only when that has been tested thoroughly. So the software testing revolves around one particular terminology. That terminology is called as a zero defect product. Zero defect product. The product should be zero defect, because if there are defects within a product, that product, whenever it is running on production line, and the end users of the customer, if going to use this particular software, I think because of that defected product, the customer will have huge loss, and their end users will move from their website and go to some other competitor's websites. So that's why it is always highly recommended that whenever the product is supposed to be kept ready for release, it has to be a zero defect product. Correct? No, that is what exactly we normally always use the sentence to make this thing itself. Correct? No, and this software testing is actually also part of your IT industry's one department we always call it as a QA, quality assurance. This quality assurance term has been coined from all those quality controls, Kaizen, TQM kind of practices been followed in non-IT companies. Correct, no? So QA, quality assurance. Correct. So what is the role of this quality assurance team? So it's their main purpose is to take care of, ensure, okay, developers deliver same whatever have been defined in SRS document. That is what they normally expect. So under your SRS document, if you define your functional requirements and non-functional requirements, this information has been you sign up from the customer. So that means now you have totally agreed on that particular points that yes, this is the kind of thing you are having your expectations, and it's our responsibility that we will be able to provide it. And the agreement is done. So who will take that responsibility from a IT company on behalf of customer? That is your quality assurance team. And they will always ensure every code, whatever developer has created, that will go through thoroughly tests using some particular guidelines, using some kind of mechanisms. Correct? No? So that is why in quality assurance team, we really require a very good kind of people. So people who want to really make their career in a quality assurance team, I will always say they really require some kind of good points. They should be very good at in their effective communications. They should be very good at in uh, having continuous meeting together, correct? No, and there should be a good kind of culture of knowledge transfer. So I'm just trying to put those points here. What are the factors normally influencing for your quality assurance team performance? So just trying to add it here. Okay, the factors. effective communication. Developers require a coding skill. Okay. Here we want to have effective communication skill. Okay. Engagement with your business analyst and all those things, as well as with your developer teams, as well as with your scrum masters, as well as with your product owner. Okay. Strong collaboration on daily basis. That is why I always say in a stand-up meeting which has been taken place for 15 minutes every day, your QA team is also involved in that area. There's a continuous knowledge transfer happening between the team. That is what we normally observe. Correct? No? So when we talk about if that is the kind of thing area, so in that software testing, correct? No, what is the main purpose of the software testing? थोड़ा सा basic theory करके I'll just go back further. Okay. What is the role of software testing? So under that, I'll focus first. The most important, just now I said zero defect product. Zero defect product means uh, preventing bugs from the system. And if you could prevent the bugs, so definitely because of that area also, you will reduce your correct, no, development cost. Because one of the most important cost in software development life cycle, if a customer is going to have it, and that is going to be something called as a maintenance cost. Remember, I use one particular rule. I said some rule called 80-20 rule. If there are 100 softwares are created, out of 100 softwares, 80 softwares are thrown into the dustbin because they are not being properly created. Maybe the requirements not been properly understood. Maybe the requirement understood, but they didn't properly be developed. Correct? No? Or maybe they are not properly tested. And such kind of softwares has been deployed, but customers don't have any particular choice. That's why they keep running these softwares under huge maintenance cost. Correct? No? That is one thing. And whenever you have a software, the software is consuming a lot of hardware resources, other resources. So is it not possible that if you could really test that software so that using that particular software testing technique, you would be able to, okay, improve performance of that application also? Improve performance. Yes, that's it. So this is what exactly actually we call as a software testing main part. But when you like to talk about this particular software testing main part, now we always come across a lot of diagrams. So let me just find. There is first diagram I like to show you something called as a V model. If I type somewhere software testing plus V model, it is very common model we always use for explaining about software engineering part also. I'm just keeping the diagram in front of me. Okay, we have a diagram. Yes, we can see the diagram very well. So when you look on this V diagram, you say this particular V diagram shows like a V. That's why it is called V diagram. That is right. But for me, I really find this diagram shows me something called a balance. So balance in between. Let me copy this image. Otherwise, these ads will keep popping up. Day 3, day 4. Done. Now I have, okay, we have image here. So if you look on this diagram, inside this diagram, we find that there is one edge shows developer's life cycle. There is another edge shows tester's life cycle. This edge called as a verification edge, and this edge called as a validation edge. And if you just see for that V at the bottom, what you get? Coding. So that means this V model tells me, see the importance of a coding also in this whole kind of process. If you think about this one area, these two boxes, business requirement specification and requirement specification. Isn't it something called analysis and requirement gathering? Yes. Business requirement specification, SS document creation, system requirement specifications. That is something you talk about again. Your requirements analysis, correct? Analysis. What do you get this? High level design and low level design. I think that is yesterday we talked about as a design part, no? Correct, no? Design part. And if you just look on this is your development. Analysis, design, development, and complete testing. So that means I say that as your software development process has been initiated, so during that time, when your business requirement specifications gathering is happening in that business requirement, okay, business requirement specifications, whatever information has been captured about a e-commerce application perspective, so this e-commerce application should be able to allow their shoppers to sell their product online through virtual store provided by a website. End users will be able to purchase product from that particular site. End users will be okay encouraged for purchasing okay good quality products. Then end users will be able to purchase more than one product. Customers will be able to check their orders history, all those things. So whatever this document kind of requirements we capture, no, this need to be again validated. So if something has been defined from the customer side, that is going to be tested in the phase of acceptance testing. So this particular business requirements has been captured from the end users. Listen carefully. This business requirement specifications has been captured from the end users. So we also wanted let the end users will do the testing. So when your end users, actual customers are going to come for the testing, we call that testing as a acceptance testing. Very good, fantastic. So when acceptance testing is actually done by your actual customers, then you will say, yes, our product is now perfectly been delivered. So that means what we find, we really find here we define the document and that has been validated here. That is why it's called validation phase. System requirement specification. Now, system requirement specification, that means we talk about key inside this particular application, how many servers will be there, which servers will be there, what kind of security model will be applied, correct, no? Is it going to be load balanced or not, correct, no? Whether the huge data management bulk transactions will be handled or not. I think all kind of information will be captured where your software architect, your software architect will be allowed and they would be in the part of this thing itself. So we also wanted, can this all kind of thing has been defined under that particular SRS document, we will be tested, validated. So that validation point of view, we have a test that is called as a system integration testing. Now, what is the meaning of system integration testing? Your software have been using payment gateways. Your software would be using third-party REST API like Google Map or might be some payment gateway as well. Otherwise, some other websites portal data. So all these things we will integrate together and see whether everything is working perfectly or not as per expectations of the system requirement. Second thing, now these specifications are getting converted in the form of like a high-level design. So in that high-level design, you try to really create a components. Okay, so those components I'll talk about like something called business layer, okay, business logic layer, UI layer, data access logic layer. In Java, you call them as a DAO layer. So these are the different kind of layers you try to create, and we wanted this kind of layers would be actually validated. So that validation will be taken care by the kind of testing we actually call as a component testing. Okay. Then we come for the real low level design. So under the low level design, being as a .NET developer or Java developer, what did we do? Actually, we write classes, we write interfaces. Under classes, we write behavior using member functions, or sometimes we write static functions. So whatever functions you define as a basic behavior, action points, correct? No? So those action points also need to be validated. So that is done by using something concept called as a unit testing. So that means whatever verification phase you have it here, for the every verification phase, there's a validation phase available. And under the validation phase, we always find that the perfectly balance has been maintained. And here you find that here the coding goes. So initiation gets started like this. The coding has been taken place. Once the coding has been taken place, when the coding has been taken place, then actually further the unit testing of that particular each and every individual function would have been done. Whatever product catalog module you created, shopping cart module you defined. So under this high level design, I have defined my modules. We talked about the word called modularity. And under that modularity, we said, correct, no? So under that, this modularity, we use what is that? Modular is nothing but decomposing your complete system in the form of like a reusable modules. And that reusable module is like a one use case. And under that one use case, we will have a number of namespaces or packages, and under the packages will have number of interfaces and classes. So can I just individually test only product catalog model? Can I individually test only my shopping cart model? So I will call that thing, okay, as nothing but my component testing. And then something, now my all models are individually tested. Now let us integrate these all models together. That means let product catalog and shopping cart models will be integrated. So that means let us have walkthrough. Now user is going to select the product, add to the cart, and add to the cart, checkout, login. So authentication module. Okay. Then further your order processing model. So what I want to tell you, independent models, once they have been tested, now they are going to be integrated together. So we wanted to have integration testing. And once the integration testing has been taken place, we find that we go for acceptance testing. In this whole area, how many blue boxes you find it here? Tell me.
9.
9.
And out of 9, coding is 1, no?
Yes.
That means you find that if you just look around in that whole kind of system, weightage is for testing, weightage is for design, weightage is maximum for coding. Whose maximum boxes are here? Whenever say, whenever I say analysis, I'll talk about these 2 boxes. Whenever I say design, these 2. Whenever I say coding, 1 box. And whenever I say testing, all box.
4 boxes.
So if you really want to have a good IT company, your IT company should have very strong testing team. But we being as a college students, what we understand, I think in our company, anybody who do not get job in IT, I think these people will be accepted as a testers. And such kind of uh, unqualified testers, if they are going to take the quality assurance team, correct, no, of your software, then God knows that software that a customer will again come back to you for another new project, or a existing project will be totally on suspended mode. So what I want to tell you, yes, software testing is very, very important. Just think about you're in a manufacturing company, and under that manufacturing company, we are actually manufacturing the product. Don't you think how much money they spend for testing vehicles before the car comes on the road? So we always find that thing they have really given very good importance. Once upon a time, somewhere in 1990s, whenever someone completes the engineering, in non-IT background, they always try to say that, okay, I want to work in R&D, or I want to go for quality assurance. And that time, that is what was actually called as a prestigious. Even today also, it has been considered as a prestigious job profile. Now, someone just want to become like a driver, and someone want to become like a test driver, or someone want to become pilot. and someone want to become like a test pilot. So whose salary is more, and who is actually having more risky work, and who actually, because one particular, okay, your test pilot is going to test the vehicle. He is not supposed to break down that particular aeroplane, but that aeroplane need to be tested with its all kind of functionalities, correct? No, because one aeroplane manufacturing takes billions of dollars, and if that billions of dollars aeroplane has been purchased by some aviation industry, and there are passengers are traveling from that thing itself, because of such kind of small mistake or something, if the plane goes, correct, no, it's such a huge tragedy. So that's why we always find this is the quality assurance and this testing part are very, very important. But in our IT industry, we feel that if software is corrupted or software is not working, maximum, I think that particular application will not start. We can again reinstall software. Okay. That is not the case. Your software can be reinstalled. That is okay. But what about the data which has been corrupted because of that particular software? Correct, no? So I think that data is most important. We always call today in this IT, this particular industry, data is a fuel. Right? No? If data is a fuel, so data is so important. Okay. If you lose your software, you can redevelop it here. But if you lose the data, you cannot reproduce that data. That's why in IT industry also, the software testing is so important. And in the software testing, these are the kind of normal types of software testing we talked about. Unit testing, component testing, system integration testing, acceptance testing. Good. Now, if you are, and this is what you call testers life cycle, developers life cycle, and they are equally balanced with this particular way. Now, this is one diagram I just explained about software engineering's V model, which tells us about the importance of the software testing. Now, you come across the word called SDLC, remember? Yes, you just come across the word called SDLC. There's also a word called STLC. Can I just type it here? Something called STLC. Now you'll understand complete software testing a perfect idea. So what is exactly STLC in software testing? Now I always try to find some diagram. Mm, Can I find the diagram? Yes, I did. I did find. Fantastic. I observe the diagram. Let me just take the diagram. I don't mind visiting these sites. Good contents are there. Most of the internet contents are very good content. That's why even though you don't have note, you don't have books, you can always get the material. I'll just get the image. Save this image. STL image. STLC saved. Has it been saved? Yeah, it has been saved. Let me go back and open downloads folder. STLC image. Good. Fantastic. Maximize. So software development life cycle and STLC stands for software testing life cycle. Now, what is software testing life cycle? Again, whenever this particular software development in software development life cycle, what do you find? Requirements are collections are done, then feasibility testing has been feasibility study has been taken place, where your all kind of business analysts, all those architectural people, your budget point of view discussions been taken place, then your design gets started, then you come up with the HLDs and then LLDs, then your coding gets started, and the testing comes here itself, and the things be there. So as in your company, the project is initiated, your SRS document is about to be created. So during that time, the quality assurance team member also will be also part of that particular discussions. Okay, he is also in a part of that particular analysis phase. Okay, and once he really captures the he captures the all information, he come back here. in his own software testing team. So what to do? Now they also get the information. Okay, they really get the whole information about the SRS document and everything. Okay, here the work is started about the developing software. Listen carefully. Here the work is started about the designing the software. Here the work is further will be started for the developing software. Parallelly, let me tell you, the software tester team side, something gets started. Can you get something here? The system study will be done. Correct, Yes, system study will be done about the requirements. Then what's the first thing? In your software development cycle, you write a SRS as a first guiding document. In case of this one, what do you have? They write first a document that is something called as a test plan. So we always talk about there is a business plan. Okay, if you are going to start a business, so companies or banks always ask, can you share your business plan? Okay, otherwise you want to have your own project. Okay, so what is a project plan? That is what we talk about. Now we wanted within our company, our team, software testing team is supposed to do the software testing for the project which is now under development. Correct, e-commerce application. So what will be our strategy? I say that what will be our strategy for this particular testing area? So they write some kind of test plan. Test plan is a kind of like a standard document, has been used by all the testing team members, correct, and according to the test plan documents, they will have every kind of information. What kind of testing tools we are going to use it? What are the testing frameworks we are going to follow? Who are going to be the testing team members? Okay, what will be our duration? How this particular testing team also will be part of that particular every sprint which is going on. Because remember, as we talked about the agile methodology and the Scrum framework, so I said that you are also part of the team that is called Scrum team. So Scrum team doesn't mean only developers, because every 15 days sprint time, if it is defined under that, the developers are developing something and the testing also happening over there itself. So as the developers develop something, tester will test it, and operations engineers will again deploy it, and there will be retrospect. There will be something called that sprint meeting, correct? No, sprint review meeting, and the sprint review meeting will be taken place. Then again, there is something called a retrospective meeting, and again the input will be taken. And during that time, they'll come to know what is the problem, what are the kind of extra thing supposed to be added, and what are the existing thing need to be updated or adjusted. Again, your next sprint will be started with the new user stories and existing modified user stories. So in that whole area, you'll find the Scrum team part. Your testers also will be part of that thing itself. But the testers will be following this test plan document, and our developer will be following what is it? User stories. Okay, So if you look around, write a test plan. Now, test plan. What is test plan? How test plan look like? A kind of standard document. Can I just have any particular document I already kept? Might be I have kept it. Let me just check it. D colon Ravi. Iraq. ASDM. Backup. Date. 10. Yes. I do have it. I already kept everything ready. So once upon a time, this SD model used to be conducted for 10 days, and we are now doing in 5 days. Okay, no worries. So here we have testing documents. Can you find this one particular template is available here? Test plan template
Yes,
02.
sir.
So I just kept one simple template for you to make it understand. Test plan template. So this test plan template, correct, will contain some particular projects document. So some template is there. For example, this is the test plan document for what purpose? You write, this is for my e-store application. Okay. Then next thing, change catalog. When this document was modified, who modified? That is called test manager. So who is your test manager? You know, name of the person who made the change. When the change was done, what was the change made during that time? What was the comment? Because this document will be used throughout for that project, and that will keep go on extending if required. Good. Uh, that means one thing. Please understand. In your software testing field, you need to be very good at in documentation. Your documentation has to be perfect. Okay. You have to follow proper documentation standards. So you are having like index, scope, in scope. So what is the scope of this test plan document? In scope. So what kind of things you are declaring that yes, we are going to do this testing, and out of stock, you please mention what are things is not possible for us to test, or which we are not going to test. You need to be very, very clear about both the things. Quality objective. What is the objective of this particular testing for e-commerce application? Okay. What are the roles and responsibilities within a software testing team? Okay. Which testing methodology you are going to follow? What levels of tests you are going to have it here? What is your bug triage? Means what is exactly your commitment for that particular bug identifications? What is exactly suspension criteria and reason and criteria requirements for that thing itself? Okay, I'll just show you. Test completeness. Test deliverables will contain. So whenever the testing would have been taken place, so what will be the deliverables from your side? Might be reports, might be the test results, might be occurrences of the test, occurrences of that particular bugs. Second thing, when this particular testing will be taken place, so during that time, what are the kind of testing means if you really want to carry this particular software testing, what are the kind of resources and environments you will be needed? So definitely software testers will require tools, and one thing, they require a testing environment, test environment. So in that environment, they will be able to run that particular software, and they will be able to simulate that situation where thousands of users will be able to connect, and during that time how this system will behave when all the models will be started in use. So how the system will behave, you know. So they really require, I think, almost similar like a production, like an environment created. So something like a separate AWS virtual machines cluster will be required, where this whole kind of applications will be deployed over there, and configurations will be done, and then some kind of testing related tools also would have been installed over there. And from client side, from their own testers machine, they will be able to fire certain commands, and because of that they will just keep collecting data. So this testing may not be happening just within 1 day or 2 days. There might be something called 4 to 5 days might be taken. Correct? No, depends on the kind of thing you have it here. If it is something I'll call a sprint of particular user stories, we have taken 7 8 user stories, and 7 or 8 user stories we are completing within that particular 15 days. So out of the 15 days, I think you are going to spend something called at least 4 days for a continuous testing before you show demo to your customer. Are you getting? Good. So that is what exactly you try to totally define under this particular documents here itself. So when I just go back and try to show you how normally it might look like. Company to company, this template might be slightly get different, but information which is going to capture will remain same. So introduction, scope, in scope, scope defines the features, functional or non-functional requirements of the software that will be tested. So that means inside this area, you can really mention ki you are having a e-commerce application. Okay. In that e-commerce applications, we would be able to test this functional requirements of the system. And these are the kind of functional requirements of system I think will not be possible for us to test. Okay. That is what we mentioned. So that means, you know, okay, inside this, what is exactly functional requirements and non-functional requirements. That means, don't you think to create this particular document, test plan document, I think you would have gone through thoroughly with your SIS document. SIS document is like a standard for developers, for designers, even for these testers. So you have to read that document, and according to document, you have to identify what are your in scope and what are your out of scope. Okay, and that is what exactly you're going to mention inside this whole area. Just 1 minute, okay? Okay. So in scope, you add those points. Out of scope, okay, which will not be tested. So what will be tested, what will not be tested would be properly documented here. Now you define some quality objective. Okay, what is the objective of this particular test plan document? So you write like this way. Okay, so here you mention your objective of the whole kind of activity. So for example, simple thing, ensure application under test conforms to functional requirements or non-functional requirements. That means it is our objective. Whatever thing has been mentioned under the functional requirements and non-functional requirements, we are about to test, which we have said, which are in scope. Second thing, AUT. What is the full form? AUT, application under test. The application which is supposed to be tested. The application which is created by the developer, we are going to test it. So in our software testing, what we always call is the AUT. Good. Ensure that AUT meets the quality specifications defined by the client. So if the client says that if any particular end user sends a request, the response will be received just within some 300 milliseconds. So you need to ensure, yes, 300 milliseconds response is going to come. Okay. If customer says that our peak period normally has something called 10 lakh requests per second. So you need to really use some kind of testing technique so that you can check whether your servers, your web applications are ready to handle that particular load in that given time seconds. Like that way. Yeah, you know, bugs and issues are identified and fixed before they go live. That means we are here responsible for, okay, ensuring whatever software will go live, it is going to be zero defect. If there are bugs available and if those issues are not resolved, we will not send this particular product further for the live. That is why we always, when the testers are testing the software, developers are always praying, you know, because developers normally have very affections towards the code, and testers are actually having totally trust of the client. So that's why we always find. That's why you have seen a lot of small memes about the developers and testers and something. But that is just like a joke point of view. But let me tell you, it's the testers are supposed to take care of that quality of the system. That's why they always say all the things. Can you come across what do you get? What are the roles and responsibilities in this whole kind of thing? So we always say QA analyst, okay, who is actually going to understand this whole kind of informations and trying to define the quality assurance key points. And according to the quality assurance key points, your testers and your test manager teams will be setting some test cases and doing all kind of work. Configuration managers, test manager is actually the whole and soul for this whole kind of test document managing and the test team management. Correct. There's something called like a configuration manager. I think configuration manager is the kind of manager, somehow sometimes like a DevOps engineer, DevOps manager, who is responsible for creating the test environment with number of servers. Correct. That bandwidth, installations, configurations part. and making that environment available for your testing team for testing purpose. Yes, definitely. We also have a developers who actually build the software, and we also want to see there are certain tests like unit tests can be also done by developer at their own side, so that we will be focused more on other kind of tests like module testing and system integration testing and acceptance testing. Good, fantastic. Installation team, yes, we will require different types of testing tools. We require the whole software to be properly created like a production, like a software production servers environment. So we really require that particular IT team as well. Good. So you really mention all those in documents. So I'm showing this document because you need to understand what is this one document. And while reading document, also you understand this software testing is very, very step by step and very disciplined approach in a company being followed. Otherwise, I used to remember during our college days, not college, school days, ki, I think during our time, even today also we like chocolates, Cadbury chocolates, all those things, correct, no? So that time when I was a kid, so people used to ask me, what do you want to become? I say, I want to become like a quality person. Quality person of what? I want to get a job in Cadbury and I would be playing a role as a quality test. Because that time someone told me it is all kind of Cadbury's just goes on a conveyor belt, and there's one particular tester who always take the bite and see, yes, Cadbury is good. Let all these Cadbury's goes. Then after again 10 minutes, another Cadbury, again one bite and goes. I think that is what exactly one child can always understand. The fantastic job. No, you will have throughout 8 hours continuous chocolate eating. That is the kind of mindset we always had. And now you just see the document, you find, array, this is a very complex process itself. And managing this particular documentation also is very, very challenging part. So that's why I'm just showing this thing itself to you. Okay, test methodology. Second part you're mentioning, what is the test methodology? So are you going to follow waterfall? Are you going to follow iterative? Are you going to follow this particular agile or some other kind of thing like extreme programming? Correct? No. So we actually now say we are using agile methodologies because our complete IT team is actually following Scrum framework, and even we are also bound by agile methodologies, so that we will be also work in a incremental iterative fashion. Every sprint we will be doing some testing. Every sprint we'll be doing testing. So we might be finding previous bugs again, and we are also identifying new bugs, and we are submitting those bugs again to the developers are completing, then again we are testing, and if we find perfectly, then we are asking our DevOps engineers, now please deploy to the production level so that we can have a demo on the 14th day. Correct, that is what exactly we talked about. So you mentioned some kind of like a paragraph about that particular area. Correct. Test levels define the type of testing to be executed on the application under test. Okay. So the test level primarily depends on the scope of the project, time, budget, and this thing. Okay, at what depth level you will go for testing? Because if you really do all kind of like a thorough testing of all this, during that time the testing time also will also going to increase. And for the testing point of view, you have to keep that particular production like environment running. That kind of environment definitely would be very difficult to create within your own local environment. You have to go to the AWS, and you may want to create a cluster of number of EC2 instances. The clusters will be created on that cluster. You again need to create that particular, what is that, containers. You need to go for load balancing technique, and you have to keep those things running so that you want to test it here. So what is the budget? What is the time? And what's the scope of the project? Based on that, you decide the test levels, and that is what exactly people do mention under this area itself. Okay, so what is the main purpose of your testing? To define the type of resolution for each bug. So what is the bug? Okay, when the bug was occurred. Okay, what is the severity of the bug? I think you always try to define some kind of points. Okay, to prioritize bugs and determine the schedule for to be fixed bugs. That means we always try to see that our main work is always going to find the bugs. Okay, that we are actually bound for that thing itself. So that is what exactly we normally define under the documentations. Suspension criteria, resumption criteria. So suspension criteria defines the criteria to be used to suspend all or part of the testing procedure. Resumption criteria determines when testing can resume after it has been suspended. That means when the testing is going to taken place, definitely this testing, if it started, might be taking something called 7 8 hours, or sometimes the testing might go for something called one complete, 2 to 3 days. Correct, no? So due to some kind of reason, there might be thing that you like to suspend that particular thing itself. Okay, no? And if such kind of activities would have been suspended, what will be your criteria for that thing? When to be suspended? In which situation to be suspended? So these all kind of things actually they properly maintain inside this document itself. And when again it will be resumed. And for resumption point of view, what are the kind of points are there? So people define here. Second thing, you just mentioned test completeness, 100% test coverage. Whatever test had defined, this all test has been covered, and your software has been tested against those all kind of tests. Okay, so what kind of test will be there? So what kind of test will be manual test? What kind of test will be automated test? And we ensure these all kind of test cases have been properly executed. Okay, all open bugs are fixed and will be fixed in the next phase. That means you always try to see whenever your closure is going to happen for the testing, you find whether the previous bug has been closed, what are the new bugs has been identified, have you submitted the reports, that you just define. Next thing, whenever the tests are going to be carried out, what will be the deliverables? Whenever I say developers, if the developer are starting doing the developing the code, what is the input for developers? We will say design. Then what is the deliverer of the developer? I think it is nothing but the source code, correct, no? And executable code. That is your deliverable. So for a software tester team, if you ask question, if we give that particular software for you to test, what is your deliverable? So what you are going to produce? Software tester team, are they going to produce new software? No, they are not going to produce new software. Their deliverables will be like this way. Different types of documents. What are those? Test plan document is one deliverable. That means this document has to be written, created, maintained properly. Second, test cases. We'll talk about within few minutes what is test case. Okay, no? So test case means if any particular authentication you talk about, in that authentication, what is authentication process? In that authentication process, which are those particular steps you have to test? And for testing, what is the kind of recipe you need to follow? That has been properly documented. That is what you call as a test case document. So such kind of test cases documents you need to maintain. Might be in the form of like a spreadsheets. Correct? Then again, requirement traceability matrix. If there are so many kind of test cases are available, like no, out of that test cases, how many test cases are been tested, how many test cases has been failed, how many test cases have been passed, how many test cases are about to be tested, that all kind of report has been created. That report is called as a traceability matrix. Okay, no? Then if the bugs has been identified, you have to create the bugs reports. If you are going to go for certain testing strategy, so what is the testing strategy document? Your test matrix and customer sign off, where the customer has signed on those all documents. And now we are keeping that document for our own references. That everything is mentioned under this particular document inside this area. That means see how much importance this document is actually having in this particular software testing part itself. If you look around, last under this section, something called as a test resources and environment needs. So now your software testing team required what kind of resources, what kind of environment. So you mentioned the kind of tools you require. So requirement tracking tool might be something like a Jira, bug tracking tool. I think this bug tracking tool also I will in Jira. Automation testing tools might be something called Selenium ID, might be some load runner, might be something called Mercury tools, QTP tools. So many tools are available, correct? So these all kind of tools you mention. So that there are certain tools might be licensed tools that need to be purchased. Okay, that you always tuck everything inside this thing. So these are the tools required for testing. Then you really require the environment. That environment is called the test environment. So this mentions minimum hardware requirement that will be used to test your software. So what is the minimum hardware you required for testing that particular software? That you write means how many machines are required, how many EC2 instances are required, what will be the kind of configuration of that EC2 instances, how much storage you will require, what kind of bandwidth you will require. That everything is actually with the help of information architect you will be able to create and mention inside this area. Okay, some basic things I just kept it. And at the client side means at the tester side, tester's machine side, because the software definitely will running on the servers, but the softwares will be tested by the testers who are sitting on their own kind of machines. So from their machines they want to access that particular thing itself, no? So you also require some kind of client softwares. Testers, whenever manual testers are doing some kind of work, they wanted to create the documents, maintain those information. So might be Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF like documents, softwares they will record on their individual machines. That you define and create this thing. Okay, no? So such kind of documents you create, and finally, whatever technical words you come across, like a short short form words, you always try to make it here and keep that particular like a acronyms inside. So such kind of document actually we call as a test plan document, and that document is maintained by whom? This document is maintained by your test manager. See, yes, tell see first part, write test plan. Now once test plan is ready, then your next activity gets started. Now, what is the next activity get started? That is called write test cases. Test case. Test case is nothing but a kind of scenario you need to capture for testing particular functionality, business functionality of that application. That is what we call as a test case. Correct, no? And these test cases are going to be written by your senior testers who knows the requirement very well and who has got very good kind of experience of writing that test cases. So again, these test cases, if you want to write, no, can you see here? There are two branches are set here. First, identify all the possible test scenarios. So if it is the e-commerce application point of view, that means we really wanted to test first e-commerce application. In that e-commerce application, what are the models we identified? Would you please tell me? We identified something called product catalog model. We identified shopping cart model, order processing model. Then what was that? Payment,
Shipment.
shipment. If these are the five models, and membership and roles management, authentication, authorization. These are the six models if you identified. Now each and every particular model you have to take it, and that every model's perspective, SRS document or might be their user stories. They need to read as a customer, I want to log in so that I can, okay, see my order history. So that was simple like a user story. So this user story as a customer, that means who will be accessing this system? The customer will be accessing the system. And customer, he want to access him. What he's supposed to go through the action? He is supposed to log in. And if he's supposed to log in, then on successful login, what should happen? And on login failure, what should happen? And what is the purpose? I think yesterday we talked about the user story ka format. So now such kind of user stories for your e-commerce application might be 600 to 700 user stories. Okay, 600 to 700 such user stories will be there, where every user story will be having some acceptance criteria, expected result, input given. So what is the input given? what is the expected result, and what is exactly the expectation. That is, everything is defined in the particular user story document, which has been already been maintained under the product backlog. So you can take that each and every user story, and for that user story, you have to define number of test cases. And such kind of test cases, if you like to see, you have to identify. So there's a brainstorming activity, there's thinking, logical, okay, logically, and coming with that information using something like a standard documents like this. Can you get one example here? Test case template. If I open this test case template here, can you have a look? It's an Excel sheet, no? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Test case ID. Some unique ID created by, reviewed by. So might be created some senior test engineer, test engineer might have created this test case, defined, written this test case. His test team lead might have reviewed it. Version of the test case has been mentioned here because might be this test case after few days might be modified. So we will just change its version. Correct, no? Then what is the description of the test case? So we are just taking one simple one user story. What is that? As a user, as a customer, I want to log in to the system. That is the simple thing I'm just taking here. So during that time, accordingly, you'll find here the test case for what? Test the login functionality in a banking. I may change it. Test the login functionality in e-commerce. Second thing, QA testers log. So might be this kind of modification has been done by someone like Mark, and I wanted to give some kind of information to the bill or some other thing. We'll keep going that logs here, okay, so that we can always keep tracking all this thing information. Second thing, now what is the tester's name? Mark. Who is going to test again this test? Test case also written, created also, and also might be testing also would be done by the same thing. So tester's name, Mark. When this test was carried out, date tested. Okay. Second, test case, is it pass or fail or not done, that you define inside this area, not executed define inside. Okay, and you just make that pretty changes here. Second thing, if this test is going to be carried out, so what are the kind of prerequisites? So before testing is supposed to be started, you have to give information to the tester. Okay, what are the kind of prerequisites you should have it here? You should have access to the Chrome browser. Suppose if that is the kind of testing will be for a web API. So I will say access to Postman, access to Swagger. So Swagger or Postman. Using this tool, we can test those APIs, REST API testing. But you really want to go for something like a UI testing of application, web testing of application, and you are going to play a role as a manual tester, then you really need to launch a browser. You need to type the URL. According to the steps below given, you will perform the task and see as per expected things are working or not. That is supposed to be done. So you have to keep everything perfectly written here. So you find what is the prerequisite. Just given the prerequisite. Okay, whenever this testing will be carried out, you may require certain data to be used for test purpose. You give some sample data also here. User ID password, user ID password, user ID password. So might be some sample username password would have been given to you, which may be there within a database. And you need to ensure this is really working against this data. Correct, So this sample data also would have been mentioned under this area. Second thing. Coming back here, test scenario. Now define the scenario. Verify on entering valid user ID password, the customer can log in. Okay. So valid email address password, if you give, successful authentication will be taken place. Good. Now you are mentioning your steps. Now you are giving steps. Step, step details, expected results, actual results, and then finally you tell us the status. So initial level, this will be totally empty. Which kind of component will be empty? This component will be empty, and this component with this two components, whatever I just now said, no, would be empty. So being as a test case writer, test case author, you define step. Navigate to this particular site. Site should open. Okay. Second, enter user ID password. What is the expected result? Credential can be entered. Click submit. Customer is logged in. This two things will be kept as a blank. That is the way you write one particular test case. So think about every time whenever someone will try to log into a system, correct? No? So if shopper will log into the system, if your uh, customer will log into the system, correct? Or if a director will log into the system. So different user may have different perspective for login and their expected output. So accordingly, from every type of user perspective, you need to create a separate test case. And you have to do that test case execution from that user's credential point of view. And you have to mention that result inside. So think about, I'm just talking about one authentication. Suppose there might be something called user registration. Then again, you should write a separate test case, like another test case too, and another test case to again use the same template. And now you fill that information. Now what is that? Go back, correct? No. So customer registration, correct? No. Test case ID. We'll again give the similar kind of test case ID. ID same means number different. Then again created by Mark, reviewed by, let us say, Will, version 1.0, logger. We are first time writing, so when I'll write, then I think review will be done by the Will, and will add some kind of log for myself. Tester's name Mark. Now if it is not tested, I'll just give it blank. I'll just keep blank. Now prerequisite, correct? No, access to browser. Now here, if a specific browser only required, you also need to mention under this area. Okay. Users. And here you put some information. So you will capture certain data from some other given by your customer, or might be some kind of fake data has been already been prepared for testing purpose for registration. Okay, so registration. Now you will have registration for seller. You'll have registration for a customer. You'll have registration for sales and representative. You'll have registration for your shipment, that shipment vendor, and that all kind of different data you have to capture in ID file. Now, if this data has been filled, you need to see whether successfully that particular thing has been registered or not. So there is a registration process. You will fill the data. After filling the data, accordingly might be the request will be generated. The corresponding authority will be able to approve or reject. Based on their approval or rejection, correct? The outcome will be come to know, and the registration is successfully done or not. that everything is going to be captured out here. So that means see how much big process will be there itself. Sometimes I will say writing registration logic is very simple because you know what is exactly to be done. Get the data from the form, okay, do validation for that particular HTML form. I'm talking for the developer perspective. Create HTML form. For HTML form, please use some kind of JavaScript code for validation purpose, right? And submit data. In development, take the REST API call, write the REST API call, write services, write repository, have a database. That is what you do. That is like very straightforward, like a one path. But for tester, registration for this perspective, registration for that perspective, registration for this perspective, test case separate, registration for this perspective, test case different. You have to write multiple possible ways of this kind of test scenarios, and you have to document it very well. So in this software testing, you always find test execution is one branch and test identifying those particular test case another branch. And in this thing, if you do not have your test cases ready, this that test execution will never take place. इसका मतलब क्या? टेस्टिंग शुरू होने से पहले टेस्ट केसेस आइडेंटिफाई होनी चाहिए, टेस्ट केसेस राइट होनी चाहिए और टेस्ट केसेस सीनियर्स ने रिव्यू करनी चाहिए. If there are some flaws are there in that test cases, that has to be reported, that has to be fixed. These test cases should be approved by your test manager. Then only those test cases will be kept under the repository. So that means I will say developers will always write their code and the code will be kept in a code repository. Testers will actually identify test cases, okay, review those test cases, rectify those test cases, then get it approved from their managers. And those test cases they will again keep in one particular centralized collection. They call it as a test repository. Store it in a repository. So that once they are stored in a repository, now these test cases in a repository can be used for execution purpose. You know, that is why we find this is very, very important activity. Here it requires a brainstorming activity. Like in software development process, we find you require a time for designing, correct? No, so you spend a lot of time for your designing. Here also you spend your lot of time for identify your test case scenarios, and you really require very talented people for doing all those things. People have been paid very heavily for writing such kind of test case for big financial companies. Okay, good, fantastic. So I was just talking those per test cases. So right now inside this area we will just keep filling that information, keep writing steps. So now registration point of view, we may need to add number of steps. So in your this example, I might have added only like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. In some situations, I think that might be going to something called like a 20. Yesterday, remember the steps which are given for deploying a containerized application? Our steps gone almost 18 to 16, correct? No? And this all 18 to 16 steps, if you want to continue and do it step by step, it might take almost 1 hour for someone who understands Docker very well. So this document can be read and 1 hour you'll do that whole work. Like that way, one test case written might be the test case completion. That one manual tester might take something 20 minutes or might something called 45 minutes. Correct, no? So
Yes,
this is
sir.
what you find kind of information has been so documented. So that's why the documentation skill is very, very essential. And nowadays, once you are comfortably doing this whole kind of work, then now I do observe sometimes people are taking the help of now AI. If they find this is like a repetitive task work, that repetitive task is again getting automatically automated. But all kind of test cases cannot be identified by the ChatGPT and all those things, because every problem definition is different. Every project is different. Every customer is different. The customer's business is different. The business scenario is different. Yes, might be your business would be similar type of business. That's why you may find your ChatGPT will help you to give some kind of like a generic test cases. But the product has some unique selling point, USP, and that USP's business operations might be totally different than other organization operations. So here you have to use a human skill only, and in that thing you should spend your time for creating such kind of documentations. I will say this is what you call a test case documents you create. So how many such kind of test cases would have been maintained by such kind of projects? Could you guess? अगर ई कॉमर्स या सॉरी ई कॉमर्स के एप्लीकेशन की बात की जाए, तो आप मुझे बताइए कि अभी तो हमने बोला कि देयर आर ऑलमोस्ट हाउ मेनी मॉडल्स वुड हैव बीन देयर? 6 models would have been there. And 6 models, if I could think, I was saying something called, we may have something called 800 to 900 user stories. And if 800 to 900 user stories would have been there, I'm just guessing, then at least for one user story, we may have something 5 to 6 test cases. 5 to 6 test cases multiplied by, let us say, 1000.
Around 1,000, 5,000.
All around 5000. That means the Excel document, whatever you just get open here, what will have 5000 tabs will be there. Are you getting? If there's one Excel document, one Excel document is maintained, 5000 tabs would have been there, or might be they have maintained different kind of tools. And this all 5000 test cases has been identified. Some of them are in a process of identification going on, because we will do early identification so that future will spend less time. Such things will be ready. And now we go for next phase. What is that thing? Traceability matrix. Traceability matrix? Is it getting open? What you get? Again, in a spreadsheet, such kind of column would have been there. Okay. Request number, request description, test case ID, test case description, test case designer. Okay. Any particular UAT test required, test environment, UAT environment, production environment, defects, defect ID, defect status, required coverage status, and like that way, the information content has been filled. So REQ1, log into the application. So for login to the application, now just for login to the application, now there are 3 test cases. For 3 test cases, login with email, invalid, login with invalid user ID and password. Login with valid username and password. Login with valid credentials. Correct, no? So status completed, completed, completed. Who was the test designer? Correct, no? UAT was done. No. Yes, done. Like that way. Correct, no? Again, test environment. What is the result? It's passed or fail or passed. In this test environment, in UAT environment, okay, not run. Production environment, you really maintain such kind of like a matrix. And through that matrix, I think the whole testers team will come to know what's going on, how many things are completed, which are about to be done. Correct, no? This is what exactly like kind of information they always maintain. So this is what we find, like a requirement traceability matrix is also maintained. So that will give guidelines. They will schedule meeting, they will delegate, they will track things. Did I close? Yes, still secret again. Downloads. Downloads. I hope that image was copied into this one, no? PNG star dot PNG. Anyhow, no worries. I can just get the Chrome itself. I just lost where I gave that image. So we still see that image here. Now we come across matrix maintained. Now according the test execution gets started. Now here actual test will be taken. Each and the software, the testing environment, the tester environment will be set up. The software will be taken. The software will be installed on the server, correct? Properly kept running. And then now manual testers. Okay, there are two types of testing we always talk about: manual testing and automated automation testing. Automation testing means it is done not by human being. Manual testing means it is done by human being. So when a human tests that particular software, we call it's a manual testing. Why manual testing is supposed to run? Because the software you are trying to create for human. And if the software you are trying to create for human being, then definitely I think that software should be tested by the human being. That is the most important thing here itself. Then automation testing, it's a repetitive work which human testers won't do. They will take a lot of time. It's a repetitive task. There are human mistakes will be there during the time of testing. So we wanted to avoid these all those things. That is why you are relying on computers and you are using some computer automated program who will do that particular simulating task of the manual testing. We call it the automation testing. But automation testing may not capture everything. Yeah, it will do a lot of work, but still I would say the manual testing is the number one testing preferred by industry. If someone asks you a question, automation testing is good or human testing is good? So keeping some AI test pilot, auto test pilot, we will try to install in one aeroplane and the aeroplane will be tested. Or we want one actual human being, actually very good pilot, he will test your aeroplane. इतना सारा इंडस्ट्री में अगर बदल हुआ है तो शायद मुझे लगता है ये टेस्ट फ्लाइट टेस्टिंग का काम भी मेरे लगता है सारा पूरा एआई से या फिर कंप्यूटराइज प्रोग्राम से होना चाहिए. Yes, we do some kind of work for testing, but still we finally find that some good pilot who has got a good experience and who knows most of the functions, that person will be able to test it here. That is what we normally see inside this. Okay, so that's why I also say here manual testing will be taken place under the manual testing, which manual testing or automation testing. Both of the thing will be taken place. But if someone asks you a question, what is the preferred way? Your manual testers. But to avoid manual testers problems, because you cannot get something called 10,000 manual testers to test your product. How are you going to test your software against a load of something called like 5 lakh requests per second? So if you really want to have 5 lakh requests per second, that means you have to send 5 lakh users a message. Would you please type this URL? And those all 5 lakh users will actually from their laptops will type that URL and they will get the site. And they will report to me after that. Yes, site work, site not work, site work, site not work. Again, I'll say, I wanted to test my login functionality against 5 lakh users. So am I going to ask 5 lakh manual testers? Can you afford to have this much of strength of manual testers?
No,
Do you
sir.
have that much of budget? No. So during that time, you find these are the kind of repetitive task work you can convert into automated tests. then you may go for using certain tools. For example, can I show some interesting thing? Can you see my browser very well here? You see browser?
Sir.
Under the browser, if you just click, there is something is available here. Can you get? What do you see?
Extension.
Selenium ID.
Selenium ID. Selenium ID is one particular Chrome ID free available. If I just launch this, you can also go back and do one thing. Go to the Google and just type here Selenium. You'll come to the Selenium official website, and in that Selenium website, you'll get this option called Selenium driver and Selenium ID. So if you click on the Selenium ID, that will send to the link for downloading your Chrome extensions for the Selenium. And once you click, or even if go in Google also, if you just go back and type Selenium ID Chrome extensions, just within मुझे लगता है hardly within seconds, I think that particular ID will be able to you. Here's the ID. I click on the ID. Automation testing to be done for web your web access of your website. Selenium ID. I'm just clicking. It's a simple tool. I want to test any website and I want to see whether this website is really doing something. For example, I want to do one thing. Go to the website. Go to the website. Okay. Type this word. Search this. You'll get number of. You'll get a page. In that page, I want to open that tab. I open that tab. I want to open this tab. I want to open that tab. And you really want to get that thing itself. So that means you can really do one thing. You can really simulate this whole process, and that will automatically create that particular script. And the script is actually you rerun, and the same thing will be simulated and will be rerun number of times. We like to do it for our TFL Store application right now. See, uh, record new test project. तो अभी मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ मुझे ई कॉमर्स एप्लीकेशन जो हमने बनाया है टीएफएल स्टोर उसका मुझे टेस्टिंग करने का है तो क्या करना है यू हैव टू गेट द वेबसाइट यू हैव टू गो टू द गैलरी under the gallery you have to select the flower you add to the cart define the quantities again go to the gallery again check cart ये आपकी expectations है और आपको देखना है कि ये बराबर काम कर रहा है कि नहीं okay no now I think this is going to be one of the boring job for any manual tester to do it repeatedly and let us say if this code is going to be changed you have to do the repeated task same again and again and again which most of the time we don't like it here so can we automate it by getting that particular script ready we like to see so I am just creating that project where the script will be generated record a new test in new project let me just give name here tfl store tfl store it is a name I'm just giving fantastic okay what is the website you like to test correct no where is the website
Through
where
any
is your
tool.
a where is your aut the most important thing if you really want to write a test script you should know what is the website you want to test no so definitely it should be live no
Yes.
Yes.
but I my website is tfl store it is not live I think I should run in a aws but I think I don't require to go for aws if I already have the source code can I run it on my local machine and see that I will get the url here what do you
Yes.
think so let me just do one thing where is it c drive d drive ravi under ravi my folder is tab yes tab under tab could you find the tfl store folder available repository tfl store repository yes I do have it see this is the project This is a TFL store project app. Now this is now this is a developer. Developer has a source code. Now developer will make changes inside the code. You find the solution. No, TFL store. Actually, I selected wrong one. TFL store. TFL store. This is your code. Is the same code? TFL store code is there. We have got this whole thing written by using controllers and data, then public HTML files, correct, no? And other stuff. Good, fantastic. So I want these applications to be make run. That means now I will say this my computer itself become like a test environment. So here I'm going to start the server. So first there is no node modspot available. So that means first before my Selenium ID, I give the URL. I should make that site run. So I'm just going typing CMD. That is the console window I will here. I want to run this software node server.js, but I know it there is no packages I install. So can I use your npm install command? So when I use npm install command, what will happen? I think those packages which are required to make this particular Node.js application working will be downloaded. I already have Node.js installed. Done. Can you see node mods folder added here? So dependencies are downloaded along with the application. What's next? Now next, what is that command to run your software? Yes,
Node and server, yes. Server.
node server.js. Enter. Is it running on port number 8000? Yes. So that means you'll go back and try to access HTTP localhost. Eight thousand. So have you tested your website is running? Yeah, I have started tested by launching a browser, typing the URL. Now, would you please test does its gallery function is work? Go to gallery. Are we able to see number of flowers? Yes, I am able to see number of flowers. Manual tester, manual tester. Go to the gallery because my test case document says type the URL. I say URL, type the URL. Done. Next, click option gallery. Okay, number of gallery, gallery. Now next, check all flowers, images, and their titles are displayed properly with button add to the cart. With click me. Yes, buttons are there. Click me. Numbers are there. Photos are there. All these things are there. Good. Click. Next, click button. Click me for one of the flower marigold. It should redirect to the page. It should redirect to details.html page. Acha. It is redirected to details.html page. Next, check the product details are getting about marigold only with these values 5 marigold and something. Yeah, it is right. Okay. Next, select add to the cart. Manual tester will not do anything by his own. Okay. Manual tester will only follow the instructions which are written under test case document. Are you understanding? So that means the manual tester should have very good kind of reading skill about the test cases, and he should have very standard discipline approach of following the instructions. Okay, good. Don't think you also get bored now. अरे सर कितना टाइम कंज्यूमिंग पार्ट है. अरे ये आपने कर दिया पूरा सब कुछ. You did all kind of things, and you say yes, this test is passed. This test is passed. And now developer again come back in a code and make certain change. And since the developer has made a change, developer again send the same application say now we changed our code base. So would you please again take the test case and again run that test case? So what manual tester we want to know? Type the URL. Go to the gallery. Choose Marigold. And the cart. What is happening? Repeated task. Human laziness. Correct, no? Repeated task. Long time is creating now a problem and might be the end result. May they tell the test is passed, but actually there is a fault. That thing happened, no? So can we reduce that work? Let us do one thing. Here we will do one thing. The person will use this particular URL. Go back to the Selenium ID. Paste that particular ID here, right? And what is the button given here?
Start recording.
Start recording. Now when I click on the start recording, see what happened. Just say, you have you run some kind of like a video editing software, and now you really want to create your own kind of recorded session. So we say start recording, and during that time, whatever we are right now discussing, everything is getting recorded, and that will be saved in the form of some video file. So like that way now, if I just click the button called start recording, see what happened now. Automatically, another instance of the browser is launched. The website URL has been typed. The web page has received. Have you observed? And what do you see here inside? Selenium. What is that?
Selenium ID.
Selenium ID is recording. So now see, what do you want to do? Now you just carry forward. Now you take your use case. You just you take your test case. First time only once, huh? Gallery. Okay. That is what exactly walkthrough of product selection, shopping cart. You have done the walkthrough, and now you wanted that walkthrough will be preserved. What do you observe here? Every command you just click. Can you find the commands stored? Target, command stored, command stored, command stored. Now, whichever button you click, that button's corresponding CSS or that button's corresponding ID, HTML ID, is also been saved here itself. And now do one thing. Stop recording. What is the name to be given for this? Product catalog shopping cart test. Saved. Okay. It has been saved. Okay. If it has been saved, can you see a test? Can you get the test name here? Yes. Now, can I just do one thing? I close this browser. I close this instance also. And is any button available here? What is the option here? Tell me.
Run current is test.
Run current test. So when I just click on the run current test, see what happened now. And how much time manual tester was taking that time? And now if has been properly automated, see if this has been properly automated, and now developer makes certain change again. Let us get this scenario. Developer come back to the code, Control C. Developer open this particular code in Visual Code. So can I just type? How do you open that corresponding code in a Visual Code? Code space no dot. So that means I really want to see my VS Code. Developer wanted, because now the testing has been done and the one sprint is completed. One sprint is completed. Now again second sprint again we are again adding some extra lines of code. So in a second sprint, whenever you're adding some extra user stories and modifying, you have to test your last sprint user story also. Please also understand. It is not that you are going for the next release. That means you should not check your previous code, previous functionalities. You have to test everything. So that means there are a number of tests are going to be repeatedly done whenever there's a change in software. Whenever there's a small change in software, the complete software to be tested. So VS Code. Where's VS Code? Yeah, here is my VS Code. And this is my folder. VS Code. Open that here. Enter. Select. So you have now developer machine and develop code. Now developer has got here something called catalog. This is the HTML page, and under that HTML page, he will make certain changes. Correct. He will have his own kind of app.js file under catalog page. he will add certain extra lines of code. He will just make certain UI change. He might change CSS. He might do another kind of stuff. Okay. He might go back and find some code behind logic he want to change. So there is a app.js file where he might have written the logic of filling the data under the table. So definitely then app.js file. Oh, we have to change the logic for that thing. App.js file. Where is the app.js file? Under the script folder. Script folder. App.js file. So we have logic here. Can I get the logic? So the logic is returning, which is giving you data, flowers. And he just made certain changes. Flowers. He saved this code. Save. He's done his job. Now the code is given for tester for testing. But now tester, what's going to do it? He will first make that server running. Create that server where your application has been hosted. AUT, application under test. Okay. Application को test में डाल दो. Run करो साइन. Done. Now go back to the Selenium and click the button. Run current test.
Uh, I think sir got disconnected.
Am I audible? Please do let me know.
Yes, sir.
Great. So at 9:57, when we were trying to run, or when we were doing the testing, the tester's machine got hanged.
Hmm.
Such a danger code written by the developer. And because of that, the video conferencing tool also got stopped. Actually, the problem happened because uh, there is a Zoom going on, continuously Zoom video streaming going on. Second thing, Node.js server was running. At the same time, Chrome was launched with the Selenium tool. The Selenium tool and that particular Chrome and the Chrome and the Node.js application. So in between Selenium engine and that Chrome, there is again network. Again from your Node.js process to your corresponding Chrome, again there's a request. So because of that, what happened? The system actually was consuming a lot of uh, IO resources. And since because of my machine might be my configuration, uh, there was like a race condition was going on, and because of my system got hang. So the program was not hang. The program was okay. Your Selenium got stuck because Selenium Selenium ID tool was just waiting for that request cell. So now I'll just go back and show you in that area. I have to again go back and add it inside because we wanted the tool code, Visual Code, VS Code. This was the project. I would be very careful now. I will not change this. I keep it as it is. Save properly. I run Control Shift C. Node server.js. Chrome browser. Selenium ID tool. I think that was not saved. It should have shown us. Okay, don't 2 minutes. Will again put it again. HTTP colon localhost 8. Okay. The with same name. I'll give again. Because I wanted to show you that script. Only few actions I'll just do it. Such kind of work has been done, and then we know our Selenium has recorded all kind of scripts, and you may want to save it with some name that you can save with the name also. Now it is there inside. These commands are there. So we say this is what you call Selenium script. This Selenium script, if you could save it, preserve it, you can reproduce number of times and the same test will be repeated. So get scenario, if I'm having such kind of web testing of my almost website for 300 HTML pages. Get a scenario in front of you. Your website is being composed by using 500 web pages, and these 500 web pages are there, and there are almost director, manager, supervisor, seller, end user, customer, board of directors. These are the different kind of categories of people, roles. Every role will have their own walkthrough. How director will use, what exactly director will be expecting. Again, director sometimes wanted to check revenue growth. Director sometimes wanted to check the operations. Director sometimes want to change some other particular portfolio. Director wanted to get the customer history information. Director wanted to see something called top revenue. Director wanted to go back and find something. So you will have different paths. So these are kind of walkthroughs. Okay, one particular role might have got something called more than 15 to 20 different walkthroughs out of the 300 pages. And now something called 15, I'll just consider 10. Okay, 10 walkthroughs for one role we check it here. And we have just identified almost 7 roles. That means we'll have something called 10 for 7 roles. That means almost 70 roles, 70 such kind of different walkthroughs would have been there. And this 70 walkthroughs point of view, you will have such kind of 70 such scripts created. Whenever this particular product will be available for release, okay, it is the job of now your software testing team that you have to take your software testing through this all kind of things. So doing that repetitive work will be very difficult, but you try to create this particular thing itself like this script, save it properly, okay, and preserve it. So whenever required, you just run your software and just keep that script running. It just works as is the way you were getting previously, So when you click on this option, we observe that started the work, that started that particular part, and it got perfectly run as per our expectations. Where just within how much how many minutes? It's just hardly within 1 minute that work, not in 1 minute, just within 20 to 30 seconds that one walkthrough was been completed. For a human being, it is not possible to go through such kind of walkthrough in such short time duration because of our human capabilities. Okay, but it's a computer. It's a Selenium ID tool which is comfortably doing all kind of stuff itself. Okay, right? Now I like to show some magic. This is what you call script given. Can I stop? Let me just give a name for it. TEDx shopping cart. Okay, walkthrough. Okay, saved it. Reproduce. Done. 3 seconds sufficient. Again, you want to try? Just within 3 minutes, within 3 seconds, you will be able to just go through all those things and shows yes, this work, 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 this work. Okay, got the result. So that is what you call as an automation test. Now you said yes. Now my test case has been converted into automated test. And that test is actually nothing but a kind of like a series of commands given to you. But one of the great thing, let me tell you, tomorrow you want to keep it not in the form of these commands. Can this particular commands will be converted in the form of like a perfectly Selenium test? Yeah, it is so possible. This particular tool will help you. I'll just do one thing. I'll go back. Can you find there's a button here? 3 buttons. I click on 3 buttons. Can you get this option called export? I click on the option called export. So as I click the option called export here itself, see. What is the question been asked you? So do you want to generate this particular script in the form of proper code, test script? So which language you want to use it? You want to use C# language, you want to use Java language, you want to use Python language, you want to use Ruby, which language you want to use? So here this tool is supporting almost C#, Java, JavaScript, and other stuff. So accordingly, if you just go back and select here something called, let us say, now since what was the last model you were completed before our SD model got started?
.NET.
.NET. That means your .NET C# skill is slightly fresh.
Yes, sir.
So I would just do one thing. If I could click option called C# Xunit and press upon here something called export. It says, where do you want to save this file? TEDx shopping cart walkthrough test.c# file. When I save, It has been saved in the form of script. Can you get that file here? Can I go back and open that file?
Yes, sir.
If I just click and open that particular file, can you get the complete C# code? And can you see accordingly, there are Selenium libraries are available.
OpenQA.
OpenQA.selenium. I think these are called uh, class library, no? Assembly. In .NET, we always go back and select the option, no, Nugget Package Manager, add Nugget Package Manager under dependencies, and we can add those dependencies and those packages are downloaded, and then we can import them using statement. One class is created. Can you see something? One word is used here.
XUnit.
X unit, N unit, J unit.
Yes,
These
sir.
are the different types of testing frameworks available. This testing framework gives you a lot of classes and methods and structures and interfaces that you can reuse it for writing your own kind of test programs. So whatever things you do manually that you wanted to convert into a form of like a automated part, you can always use this X unit, J unit, N unit like kind of frameworks and build that thing. So I really find this is the kind of namespace, and this is what you call your Selenium related namespaces. This one, OpenQA.
Sir,
Huh?
sir, what is the difference between XUnit, NUnit, and JUnit?
All are same.
Because
These are the different frameworks. See, what is the difference between like a Jakarta struts and framework like a Spring MVC framework? There are few company who uses Jakarta struts frameworks. Their framework is MVC. You should be able to write a test case. You should be able to define your expected value. You should be able to define what is exactly the input value, and you should define what is exactly the thing to be tested. That is commonly everywhere. But the way someone has written their libraries are different. Their keywords are different. But ultimate aim is just to do the same kind of stuff. Okay. So Microsoft always use their name something called like a AX unit to represent their own kind of framework. Because there are all kind of technology like a AX, ActiveX, OLX, no OLX, ActiveX. Okay. Then what do you call? ActiveX, ADO, ActiveX JetX objects. So Microsoft's all kind of DirectX, remember?
yes, sir.
I think DirectX is the component we always use for gaming consoles, any gaming to be installed in machine, because that talks very hardly to the हार्डवेयर. तो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट की सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज को हमेशा उनको एक नाम देने का आइडिया रहा है कि एक यूनिट करेक्ट नो बट जावा हैज अ जे यूनिट करेक्ट नो सो
Yes, sir.
माइक्रोसॉफ्ट made it here like a .NET, so a unit, and for that thing they have given different libraries, different namespaces, different libraries, different names. So it's the kind of extra libraries you will find it under a unit. There are some extra libraries you will find under the X unit. So if you want to write some kind of unit test, which are commonly that you can use it for like a Java style and this thing, so we'll find the JUnit, NUnit. Similar kind of classes you'll find both the sides. One thing is a Java syntax, it's a .NET syntax. That means I will say if you already have a Java JUnit working has been done and you have been asked to again convert that particular code in the form of like a .NET. So during that time, we should always choose your framework that is something called as a NUnit. Okay, but you are doing continuous development only for Microsoft technologies and you like to keep the Microsoft test cases, so people use the XUnit. And even Microsoft also has their own kind of another thing called MS test. So alag frameworks, but their keywords annotations are slightly different and way of writing code is slightly different. That's it. Okay, so coming
Yes,
back,
yes,
so
sir.
we have here something called like a test case iDisposable interface. Can you get something new here? iWeb driver iDictionary object variables, iJavaScript executor JS, some constructor. Under that constructor, have you observed some particular object is getting created? Driver equal to new Chrome driver, and then it says JS equal to IJ JavaScript executor driver, where something the collection is created. Then again, dispose function for quitting. And now you find what is the word you written here? In XUnit, we use fact. Okay. What is the fact? Means what is the exactly that test case? What is the exactly that you need to test? It's a fact. So we use a fact keyword. In another framework, they use some other kind of another word, which I'll show after some time by Visual Studio Code itself. So here it really generated the complete walkthrough function, and don't think every action we perform has been converted in the form of some kind of code.
Yes, sir.
So the complete walkthrough is now been shown. Driver, driver means which driver? The driver means which we talk about something called that Selenium web driver. So first create the object of Selenium web driver. Then once the driver object is available, first driver.navigate, go to URL, which site you want to test. Give that URL of that particular site. Now this could be any particular site which you want to test. Not necessarily that particular site should run on this same computer machine. There are chances that this particular site might be running in a AWS, and you have published by making your firewall allow traffic anywhere, and you copy that IP address and that particular port number. You could give it here, so even that will happen. So during that time, this particular Selenium web driver will communicate with that particular environment, and that will tell me whether it's working perfectly or not. Correct? No. So number one, go to what are the functions you find here? Go to URL, then driver.manage window size, new system.drawing.size, this of resolution. I think that is nothing but it has automatically that Selenium ID tool has captured my resolution of the screen, and accordingly that put the information using one particular class called system.drawing.size class. Second, can you find the method driver.findElement, driver.findElement by link test gallery. Is this function look like find element, something like your HTML function, DOM API, document.getElement by ID,
Yes, sir.
correct? No? So like we have learned in our JavaScript something called there is a HTML page, and under the HTML page will always have DOM tree, document, window, then your actual body, under body, then you'll have your div, and div will have some other things. So this whole kind of components has been kept in a tree format. So during that time, any particular element you want to access programmatically, so you always use find element function, which is given by this particular Selenium library. And we pass here link test gallery. Go back and find inside any particular link whose text is gallery. Once you get that particular object, what we are trying to call?
Click.
Oh, that means you please perform a click. So automatically Selenium WebDriver will actually initiate that particular call, and on that particular browser, you'll really find that click event will occur. So no human being, automatically automation will do the whole work, and correspondingly each and every command, CSS selector. So go back and find me that particular button. Go back and find that particular element whose CSS selector is button. Call as click function. So each and every step you just go on completing, no, it just find things are going as it is. And if you come across to another level, have you seen something here? So these are all kind of your APIs. That APIs people learn in more detail, and using these things they actually create this particular script. And such kind of scripts, if you find completely being created, is preserved as your own repositories. So first, there's a test case document, there's a test plan document created. From that thing, then identify all possible test cases. They write those Excel files. Those all almost 700 to 800 or 1000 tabs created as a test cases would have been given for some testers, correct? No, then there are certain test engineers have been given a task. Your job is read those particular test cases, and according to the test cases you have to write your corresponding such kind of code. Now Selenium, it is just tool I told you. It is just like a tool I told you, correct? No, which is doing that thing. But there are certain things which are very complex, which you may not be able to reproduce from this thing itself. Okay, no. So during that time, companies may expect now use your logical thinking, coding C sharp skill, and this particular Selenium API. And using this Selenium API, you will be able to do that whole kind of part itself. I think some of your friends were previously doing that particular web automation testing, correct? No. So during that time, they were, I forgot his name.
Yes, sir.
Uh, who was that?
Yes, sir.
Rohan? You or
सर मैंने भी किया है वो
अच्छा
Sir,
तो
I was previously working.
अच्छा
he is
तो
working
आई थिंक आप कौन सा मीन्स सेलेनियम किस में जावा में कर रहे थे या डॉट नेट में कर रहे थे?
जावा में सर
अच्छा that
साइप्रस भी
means
किया है
okay, that means you use Java as a language, correct? No,
लैंग्वेज यस
and through that
यस सर
Java language, you are writing those all kind of yeah.
यस यस
So in that thing, how many lines of code, you are writing like this, or you are using the previous Java code which was already written and that was supposed to be modified?
नो सर I write it for
Acha, you wrote
10 and 20 right so
okay, that means almost 10, 20 such kind of test cases you might have converted in the form of this thing,
yes
correct? No,
sir yes
and in that particular company's project, how many such kind of tests were there? You might have written 10, 20.
no sir approx to 2500 I think
Approximately.
whole project 2500
That means in that complete project, almost there was something called 2500 such kind of Java files were created. See, I'll show you something important.
Uh,
Right click, export, Java JUnit. You do one thing, click here option C. Include original tracing code comments. Okay. Include step description as each separate comment. Correct. And I'll just press the button here called export. Now this will save as a what type of file? Java file. Yeah. Now as it has been saved, now can I open this file? Now what do you get? Same code is in the form of what? Java. So one thing have you understand? Whenever you like to go for Selenium automation testing, so during that time it is your team who is using the language Java, then you have to work in a Java way. Otherwise, if you are joining in such a kind of team where the team lasts from so many years, almost more than 2500 test cases they have converted in the form of like automation test script using .NET. So then definitely you would learn basics of C# syntax and this particular Selenium API, Selenium tutorial. Yeah, you know, even if you just go back and find somewhere on internet, Selenium, okay, automation, automation testing tutorial. So step-by-step guide 2024 for Selenium. Selenium tutorial. Selenium tutorial. Every possible website, you always have all those things itself. You anyone which you can just take it. That takes you step-by-step approach for how to go about it. Introduction to Selenium automation testing. Correct, no? So what was the problem of the manual testing? Okay. Then what is Selenium? This Selenium you can use it so that you can make if your website to be tested like a browser way or this particular Chrome way or Mozilla way, you can get all those things. Correct, no? When you talk about the Selenium suite, in the Selenium suite, you have one thing called Selenium ID. I think we just use the Selenium ID, no? Yes. And suddenly we come across one more name, Selenium WebDriver. So here the ID tool will help you to create that particular script. But sometimes you'll say, no, I want to do one thing. I would like to get the script. And when the script is available, I wanted the script to be run. Then what is required? From a Selenium suite, you require one particular component that called Selenium driver. So this Selenium driver is something like one particular exe. That exe which will work with the Chrome exe. Okay. And this exe will actually get the C# code. And the C# code will actually convert in the form of perfect commands, and this commands will fire to the browser. So it will automate the browser. So normally we say Selenium driver is a kind of component where the script will be taken by the driver, will be given to the Chrome browser, and the Chrome browser will talk to the server side, and it'll just capture things are working as per not. So these are the kind of components available. For bigger project, there's a concept called as a Selenium grid. Correct, no? And Selenium RC, these are something called like a release candidate, normally used for big applications really required this Selenium testing to be done on multiple Selenium machines. So you require something like a master-slave relationship between them to be managed here. So that is the kind of word is given here. But if you just go further, what is Selenium ID? That is that now we have just seen. How to install, they are given. Whatever we did right now. How do you record this? How do you save it? I think that is what, how do you play back? Okay. Then again, RC, remote control, number of things are connected, and I want to connect remotely over there itself. So next, coming back further, Selenium driver. So Selenium driver, it is used as a cross-platform testing framework. I will show that component to you also. So these are what exactly will get all step-by-step things inside this area itself. Now let me come back to my main point. If you look on the Java code, what is the thing you observe here? Can you get inside this area? You use annotation, no? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Java
Yes,
use
sir.
annotations and C# use
So C# also uses annotation.
Data annotation.
what do you call it?
Data annotation.
Yeah, it is actually annotation. But what is the technical word we use in C# for this thing? If something is written in square bracket,
Attribute.
ah,
Attribute.
it is called attribute. Metadata, no attribute. Like API controller, serializable, correct, no? And where we get fact. So here we have fact. And in that case, we have different thing itself. So they use annotations after, before, then actual test. यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? टेस्ट लिखा है. और यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? फैक्ट लिखा है ना? And can you just see the commands? Now, since I selected comments, can you get the perfect comments available inside this area? So event point of view, how you do it. So all are nothing but now purely now source code. So such kind of lot of such test coverages, such test coverages, you convert in the form of like a source code and preserve this as a library. And say this is my exactly automated test scripts, I kept it here. So whenever developer will make slight change in a code, my job is to take that particular application and rerun this all kind of 2500 tests on that machine. Am I right? Correct, no? तो
Sir,
जब भी कभी
as a filter,
Yes, sir.
do you need to create those test cases, or those test cases will be available to us? Because to create a test case, we need production server. I mean, the server developer who has created that source code and is running that source code. So we need to create a test case on that, right?
uh, you said as per my listening, you said that if you want to write a test case, you need a production server access. Is that
I
right?
mean, any server access to create the test cases.
If you want to create a test case you want to create means what you want to create? This Excel sheet, no?
Yes. The source code, sir.
No, test case means that document which we just talked about. Revity, tab, CDAC. कहाँ गया वो document? What was the folder? C colon, Ravi, tag, CDAC or something. Yeah, CDAC, ASDM, backup, date 10. ये जो अपना है टेस्ट डॉक्यूमेंट्स. जब टेस्ट केस बोला जाए ना तो टेस्ट केस का मतलब ये एक्सेल शीट. And to create that Excel sheet, you should write this document before your software developer work gets started also.
Okay.
यानी आपको क्या चाहिए exactly वो यूजर स्टोरीज का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन चाहिए, बराबर ना?
Okay.
SRS document, user stories का document, and definitely your some team members who were the part of that particular requirement gathering, correct no? Themselves, and you are sitting across the table and discussing, and accordingly now you are having that walkthrough in your mind, even though the developer work have started their work. Means before your product is getting available for you to test, you should be prepared for your all kind of test cases documentation like that way, correct no? And
Yes.
that's it. And if that is available, now these documents, if they are available perfectly ready, and now you are supposed to write this particular, what is it, site, correct no? So
Yes.
during that time, what do you really require? Then definitely these documentations already have steps here, no?
Yes, sir.
ये steps है कि नहीं? तो ये steps है क्या है? Navigate to, entered. तो शायद in this particular document you will have this thing, but again there are another kind of documents, so there screenshots भी होगी कि नहीं? बताइए
Yes, sir. I will.
कि
Will use.
possible possible screenshot भी होंगे ना? You know, in UI designers क्या करते हैं पहले? UI UX designers. So before creating HTML pages, they use the kind of like a styling softwares. They read that particular user story, they read that particular document, test case document, and accordingly they use their technique and they try to create something like a mock-up screens, correct no? Mock-up screens, yeah, there is a mock-up screen concepts available. So where UI designer create mock-up screens, these mock-up screens and these documents both are given, and they have said ki in future this particular IP address and this port number will be there. Now the developer is about to be starting the work. तो मैं बताना क्या चाहता हूँ, आपके पास साइट भी रेडी नहीं है और इतना रेडी है, लेकिन जो HTML के पेजेस तो तैयार होंगे ना. Your UI team might have designed the HTML pages. They might have created the mock-up screen navigation. May not be fully functional, but things are there. So with the help of that basic knowledge, I think you could write those particular automation test scripts also, no? तो हाँ, Selenium ID tool नहीं होगा उस समय फिर. Because Selenium ID tool is used for what purpose? For recording that particular thing. So that means you should have first application ready, correct no? If you want to use Selenium ID tool. And if the Selenium ID tool is not there, then you have to really go back in a Visual Studio.NET. Okay. Selenium ID is not there. Then you really go back and launch your Visual Studio.NET here like this. तो उसके लिए आपको अभी सिर्फ कोडिंग करते जाने का है. जो अभी कोड यहाँ पे जनरेट हुआ ना, वो कोड आपको विजुअलाइज करते, बाकी का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पढ़ते, लिखते जाना पड़ेगा. और अगर आपको HTML पेज दिया होगा तो उस HTML पेज के अंदर उसका CSS क्या हो सकता है, बहुत सारा ऑलरेडी फिक्स होता है. So people do that work inside that way. So some things are ready, some things are not ready, but still a mature testing team try to keep their test cases ready, test scripts ready before software developer give them all those things. So not necessary you would be able to create this particular code only when the site is ready. Then I think your developers will build that particular 700 pages ka code and write the Java code behind and .NET code behind and do all kind of stuff. And then after that, then your software testers team will come and they will try to see that particular output, and based on that they will write their own kind of code. I think this is the way your software testing process will be prolonged, which you don't want. So not required. The application should be ready before you want to write the automation test scripts. Is it clear now?
Yes,
With
sir.
the help
Clear.
of documentation, मुझे पता है ना, you haven't seen the application, e-commerce application. You haven't, you just know this is what shopping cart required, you want this kind of thing required. So we also don't know, because we just guess, we just visualize. And we visualize, and accordingly we think, I think this is the way HTML page should look like. This is the way exactly shopping cart will be shown. This is the way exactly product gallery will be shown. And now we start writing HTML code. So that means I would say the person who want to do this particular like a test writing coding skill need to have very good kind of visualization. So we always call them as the concept visualizers, illustrators. And these illustrators actually illustrate that information, and based on that they write the code. Correct? Coming back. Now we come to the code. That means we come to the scripts. So you can do this particular UI testing using this particular Selenium WebDriver. Can I start right from the scratch for doing something? Sure. Please come across here. What I will do, I'll go back under this area, use my Visual.net. So writing such kind of test or unit test in Visual Studio.net is also very, very simplified. Now see, coming back, let me come back. Let us stop this particular server. Control C. Otherwise, I'll end task from here like this. Good. So I'm coming back. Here's my Visual Studio.net. Here's the Visual Studio.net. Use 2022 only, no? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So now I'll go back here and click the option create new project. You have a lot of templates here. Okay. So what do you want to do? I want to go for test. Can you get so many templates? Ninit, WebDriver, MS test project, any test projects, correct? Run on Windows on Mac OS, run .NET Windows on Mac OS. Can I use one option you call MS test project? So you can use this for your test project to write a unit test, means a script to test some particular part. So I'm writing here something called SEDAC test project. Now I have C# knowledge, and I am going to use this particular MS test namespace. Next, 8.0 create. So .NET 8.0 long-term support. It has been created. What do you observe? What do you observe? We really find inside it has given me something called one SEDAC test project, like a project only. It is not a console application project. It is not a Windows application project. It is not a web application project. It is not a MVC application project. It is not a class library project. It's a MS test project, Microsoft test project. And under that, there's one particular file creator called unit test one. Correct, no? So might be I'm interested here. I would like to write the test for, let us say, something called like uh, user test, user identification test. I'm renaming it here. user, okay, or membership test, membership test. Yes. What do you get? Like a C# style. There's a namespace. Under the namespace, you'll have a class. And under the class, what is the word written here? Membership test. Now for that membership test, this class has been decorated by using which particular annotation or attribute? Test class. Okay, it will have some method. So this is the kind of one member function of that particular class is available where we can write the test. Okay. So I want to write a test. Test member existence. Something like that I'm writing. So what is this? This is actually what we call as a unit test. So under unit test, we'll have different test methods where we can use the logic to test something. So what you can test? You can test a function. You can test one particular object. You can test one particular service. Or might be you can test some other particular artifact of your software. So your software has been made by using number of artifacts pieces. So every individual piece we can test it. And if their individual pieces are tested, then we'll assemble pieces together and then we'll do something called integration testing. And such kind of integration testing of my web services and my MVC application and my database, I'll call the system testing. And then further, that is the kind of component I'll really deploy on a production server and I'll ask my customer to test. I will call it so acceptance testing. So, there is a concept called like TDD. Have you come across the word TDD? Doesn't you know? TDD,
Test driven development.
test driven development. Up till now, we learn कि first developers write the code and then the code is given to the tester and then tester tester test it. But most of the time, if you really want to reduce your development cost, you want to save your resources. Resources means your human resources, your IT infrastructure, and as well as the time. So during that time, companies tries to prefer to follow approach called test driven development approach. Means before writing any particular code, why don't you ask developer, read the user story, and according to that user story, first write the test unit test. जो अभी हमने वो स्क्रिप्ट देखी थी ना यहाँ पे VS कोड के अंदर, तो वैसे आप खुद स्क्रिप्ट लिखो टेस्टिंग का. मीन्स अभी तो प्रोडक्ट भी रेडी नहीं प्रोडक्ट रेडी भी होना है. आप काम करो, आप प्रोटोटाइपिंग टेस्टिंग का पूरा बता दो. सो वन सिंपल थिंग, टेस्ट लिखा है, मुझे टेस्ट ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट करना है. ठीक है, तो व्हाई डोंट यू फर्स्ट राइट टेस्ट केसेस? पहले टेस्ट केसेस राइट करो, फिर बाद में टेस्ट केसेस का रिजल्ट क्या आएगा वो देखने के बाद में, या एग्जैक्टली इनपुट क्या होगा, एग्जैक्टली आउटपुट क्या होगा, उसके हिसाब से डेवलपर उसका करस्पॉन्डिंग क्लास लिखेगा. लाइक दैट विद द सिचुएशन. करेक्ट नो? सो हियर इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू डू वन स्मॉल थिंग इटसेल्फ. अगर ये आपने मेथड लिखा है टेस्ट मेंबर एग्जिस्टेंस, here if I just go back and use one particular function assert dot, can you get a lot of functions all? Assert are equal means this test will only pass if expected value and actual value match. So see, expected value. I just give a variable string expected value is equal to, let us say, Ravi, and let us say string actual value equal to Ravi. So what I'm trying to do now, one is the define. What is your expectation? Under that particular Excel document, we really find something expected result, and after performing, what is the actual result received? Means once the object is created, the object will return certain value, that is the actual value. But what you expect the value, kind of such thing we are talking about. So I'll write something. I'll just go back under this area. My expectations to go back and write this simple kind of function. Something wrong in my code? I have to pass another parameter, no? Comma. What is that? Actual value. So what is the actual value? So I like to write some kind of actual value here now. This is the variable I like to pass here. That's it. Okay. Simple thing I just did here. Unit test is written. No code is given for testing. But now tester is just, or developer, actually in testing is almost done by the developers. Okay, so he reads that particular simple test case document given by the testers team, and they will find, acha, accordingly I have to use test driven development approach. So let me first write the test. That's it. Fantastic. And I'm just trying to write this thing, and I'm saying, is it really working? Can I just right click on this? There's option called run test. Yeah, there's option called run test. Click on the run test option. So my program is getting compiled, this project is getting compiled, and after compilation, automatically the test engine gets started, and this particular unit test has been submission for the execution. What is the message has been shown to you? Have you observed here? There's a test icon available. Did you get? Test Explorer. Duration. Two milliseconds it has taken the time. Test. Can I just go back and see some information inside this area? One, total test 1. Passed 1. Fail 0. It directly shows me the output. Can I come back to the code? Test Solution Explorer. If I just say expected value is Ravi and someone is given here something called Sachin, and you again go back, right click on this, run test. Can you see the message here? 1 test, 0 passed, 1 failed. So that means this assert dot r equal method will always compare two values, and based on that two values, that will automatically tell me whether this particular test passed or not, this test is failed. I want to add one more test case. One more thing. I again write here. And now here in this case, now see what I write here, test addition, for example. Okay, test addition. Then here we have tried such kind of logic. So I wanted addition to be tested. So if you want addition to be tested, how do I test addition? So if you want addition testing, then you require sample data. So can I say test data? So I wanted int num1 is equal to 45 and int num2 equal to, let us say, 45 or 4. And what do you want to do? I wanted to perform a test where these two numbers will be passed to the function and the function should return me then what is your expected value? So right here int expected value. So what is going to be your expected value? So definitely your expected value in that case is something called, tell me how much? 49, na? Your expected value is 49. But you want to get actual value, no? Actual. I don't know addition. I just say it is not my job to addition. I wanted some particular math engine class will have a method called add. For that add method, I will pass num1 and num2. So this math engine class will have a method. That method will take two parameters and that will return the value. And whatever value will come back, that value will be cross-checked. And based on that, I will come to know whether this particular method is going to work or not. Means whether this particular test is passed or not. Now what happened in this case? Tell me. What do you observe? First, you'll ask me a question. What are you talking about this math engine? This is something what do you want to test? It's this method you want to test. And you need to pass these parameters. And now developer find, oh, that means we wanted to write such a kind of logic under that particular addition function, which will generate a 49 value if we pass 45 and 4 values. But whether such kind of class is written or not, tell me. Whether such kind of class created or not, tell me. It is not. It is not a develop. तो आपने पहले टेस्ट केस का यूनिट टेस्ट लिखा या पहले आपने मैथ इंजन का क्लास लिखा? बताइए मुझे. Math engine class about to be written, no? So it's a kind of now guideline to the developer. See, we have written this unit test. Now you have to take this unit test. And according to your unit test, write such a kind of class with that method, which will by at any circumstances, it should give me the result 49. If the result 49 comes, that means I will say test pass. If the result doesn't come, test will be failed. So now what developer will do? Developer will find these two values will be given and this thing to be, that means we have to create one particular library called math engine. So accordingly now developer will come back to the code, right click on this, add new class library, add new project. So that is a module, no? It is a module, library, assembly. So accordingly, can I find class library option somewhere? Class library option. So you are giving the name something called Stadak Maths. You are creating this as a class library in the same kind of project. So here is the unit test. First unit test is written. Now with the help of the unit test understanding, we are going back class. What will be the class? What that test says? The class should be math engine class. So that means we have to write a math engine class. Oh, sorry. Okay. We should write this class as a math engine class. Ready? Math engine class. Done. Okay, we have written math engine class. Now what is required? What this math engine class should contain? What this unit test tells us? Then this running point, this unit test requires add method, which will take two parameters and will return again integer value. That means we should go back under this particular math engine and we should add one function, which will be a public function that will have return type int and function name will be called addition, no?
Add.
Yeah, add. So who is guiding developer? What should be the name of the class? What should be the name of the function? And what should be the return type of the function? And what should the input type of the function? Isn't it the test case? Isn't it the your unit test? And now what is the logic that addition should be there? It is now the job of the developer. So now he's writing add. अच्छा, I should make double or I should make integer? बहुत बार आपका ऐसा होता होगा ना, whenever you're writing some Java code or what should I give the parameter, double or this, and you really spend a lot of time. But that is not you should decide. I think it should be guided by someone, correct? No. So I think that time such kind of unit test will help you. Int, okay, operand 1, comma int, operand 2, and then you write here further thing. Okay, here it should be something where what is that? Hmm, we wanted to see this particular function, whatever I write, should pass this test. Developer is saying, see now developer is saying, I want to write such a kind of logic which will have operand 1 and operand 2 as the two incoming values and it should generate some value. What is the test is saying? Expected value is what? 49. Okay. Return 49. Done. Second thing. Have you created an object or you are using static method?
Static.
Oh, that means we should write this particular function as what kind? What kind of function?
Method static.
We have to make this static method. Now the class is created with expected functions. Now you do one thing. Now pass this to the unit test. So that unit test will see it's really working as per expectation. So can I really go back under this? Right click and say add project reference. Can I select the SEDAC math library to the test project? Now the test project reference has been added. Yes. The math test TSPROG file is also there. Now only thing you have to import that namespace, no? On the top
Yes, sir.
using SEDAC math test project. See it got resolved?
So we need to import math engine.
Oh, I should use. Oh no, I wanted to see what is the namespace we gave it for this. SEDAC maths. Sorry, SEDAC maths. It is the namespace name. SEDAC maths is the namespace name we have just given. Can you see it resolved? It resolved. Correct, no?
Yes.
And now, if it is resolved, so during that time, now you will just do one thing. Go back and again click on this and select run test. Does your test pass? Test run finished. Two tests. One is passed, one is failed. See, the test which is passed, it has shown like this particular symbol, green check mark. And the test which is failed, shown this. That means inside this, I got those two tests that they are failed. One is failed, one is passed. It's passed. That means perfectly work as it is, as per the expectations. Correct? No? Right, very good. Then tester said, okay, this work fine. Let me just change sample data. So he just makes certain change here and right here. Now my expectation the data is 67 and I write something called 3. Then expected result for him, what is that? So guess 70, no?
Yes.
70. Now the sample data got changed. The test is again run. Does test pass? Like previously it was
Failed.
failed. Now tester don't know anything. The job of tester is just work neutrally with this thing. Whenever you find a bug, report this bug. Okay. When you find that bug, report that bug. You know, we were just trying to see that particular STLC model. STLC. STLC. Where's the diagram? STLC versus STLC. It was very close to us first time. Ah, yeah, this one. Test execute, defect track. Prepare test execution report, send it to the customer. So number one, first, if you just look right inside this, so tester and testing teams, they should always think from the customer's perspective. So they are supposed to first do one thing. They have to just find the defects. Once the defects have been tracked down, they will create the reports that is called as a test execution report. We call TR. And under that, they will give information. Okay, these are the functions failed. These are the things failed. This is the pass. You know that particular matrix report also, right? And that is submitted to the definitely customer means for whom the software is getting developed, and they will ensure, alright, they software developers have developed the software. That means they will also keep and watch. Okay, whatever software under development is going on. So during that time, testers are telling us that okay, this test are failed. And at the same time, the same report will be sent back to the developer team also. And developer team will really, alright, this test is failed. Okay, you know, coming back, test fail. So what has been found? Developer did not write the logic perfectly for add function. Have you observed? Why? Because developer has not written the complete logic. He has written some wrong logic, and that wrong logic that time got to work. Now developer realize my logic was written wrong. I have to rectify my logic. So what should I do for addition? I think I should do one thing. I should go back under this area and I should be able to write something called int result is equal to, I should take operand 1 plus I should use operand 2. That means you are using some kind of logical thinking. It's very simple logical thinking, but actually say you have such a kind of functions which might be doing some database connectivity where the queries pass and the result set is coming, and you're expecting this kind of result set should be there. That kind of big complex code could be there, but I'm just trying to make a simple thing itself. So this is what exactly thing are available, and now I will just change this one. So developer has written the code. He will just go back and test. What happened? What do you get? Last time it was failed. Now it got passed. So that means, are we asking developer to correct his logic because the expected result is not getting available? It could be data, any kind of data. I'm just using numerical data. It could be some JSON object. If it could be some kind of particular uh, person object, or it could be simple like a boolean value, or it could be anything. So that all kind of stuff you do it here by using this particular stuff, and like that way we write those all kind of data here, and we really find the complete information, test execution report and everything, their summary, everything being shown to you. I just tried two things. You can have n number of such kind of files. So tomorrow it may happen that such kind of test scripts will also contain that particular script code embedded inside. That code which was generated by Selenium ID. That is a C# code, no? That I could use here. Can I just go back further? Solution Explorer. Visual Studio के अंदर शायद ये ऑप्शन है कि नहीं पता नहीं. I just check it. Unit testing is done like that way. In Java, you also got Java project, and under the Java project, you also got some kind of thing, similar kind of Java file test you can create. Under Eclipse, there is a Java test project related, JUnit related project templates available. Similar structures, and they will also write such kind of code, and they will try. So, can you do testing for one particular method? Can you do testing for one particular service? So हो सकता है you have got in this particular project a math created. You will have some particular project where your DAO layer is created. You have one particular project where your completely service layer project service layer is created, and under the service layer you have got all kind of your service methods, service classes kept, and now you have got your corresponding controller and controller methods are kept here. So we can rewrite a controller can be individually tested. So every controller specific get all products, get by ID, insert, update, delete. I think these all kind of thing also you can really go back under your programming world and try to write such kind of unit test and keep this all kind of things documented. तो आपको ये सारे टेस्ट केसेस यूनिट टेस्ट केसेस एक ही बार लिख के रखने का है एंड लेट द डेवलपर विल जस्ट गो ऑन चेंजिंग हिज लॉजिक. तो हमेशा चेंज क्या होता है आपके कोड के अंदर? डू यू नो? इफ द रिक्वायरमेंट गेट चेंज, आई थिंक द लॉजिक विल चेंज, बट द एक्सपेक्टेड आउटपुट कस्टमर्स विल ऑलवेज रिमेन सेम. तो जो आपके प्रोजेक्ट का एक प्रकार का एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगा, एक प्रकार का इंटरफेस होगा, दैट इंटरफेस इज प्रॉपर्ली ऑलवेज फाइनलाइज्ड. But internally, because of the business situations, there might be the business logic will be slightly tweaked or something will check. So if the business logic is going to change, twist or something, we wanted to see they will be thoroughly tested so that in future we will not get that particular bugs again and again. So in that thing, I will say such kind of lot of test cases will be kept ready, as it is in prepared situations. And those prepared situations, ready things, correct? No, it will be kept as it is, and developer will be keep modifying their code as per the expectation. And they will always see, even though the logic is changed, tests are getting passed. Tests are getting passed. Tests are getting passed. Tomorrow there are chances you wanted to write the code for something called like a multiplication. So again, define some particular test case and accordingly now enforce your developer. Please go back under this thing and change that. Okay, you say, alright, test case, I wanted this method should not be actually of type static method. I really wanted the instance to be created. So you are writing like this way, math engine is equal to new math engine. And you're expecting now here, this method should be called using the instance member function. And we wanted to have this particular application working, but my unit test doesn't allow because it finds that this is not the method I will. Why? That means the developer did not write any particular non-static method. So developer would like to rectify to see this test will be able to work. So accordingly, developer will go back and find math engine.c# file, remove the static, come back to the things, result. Now done. Correct, no? So like that way in your project, if you're the product-based company, let me tell you, if it is a product-based company, any particular project-based companies you have it here. So they have such kind of more than 6,000, 7,000 such kind of unit tests created. And if the project is going according to the Scrum, and there are number of different developers teams are actually working on creating a new artifacts or new version of that previous code. So during that time, they are taking something out of that 15 days time, that Scrum sprint time, doing some kind of changes inside. So, exactly after somewhere ninth day, right? This all kind of code they will always try to test it like that way. That is one way. Otherwise, they will just get certain part, find the unit test. Okay, that means these are the methods we have to complete. These are the methods we have to complete. Up till now, we have only done the coverage of this test. Means ये टेस्ट का हमने कवरेज किया है, इसका मतलब कि ये टेस्ट यहाँ पे जो डिफाइन किया है, हमने उसका कवर किया है, इसका मतलब हमने उसके लिए कोड लिखा है और हमारा वर्क हो रहा है। हमने इस टेस्ट को एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए हमने ये कोड किया है, वर्क किया है। लेकिन अभी तक बाकी के टेस्ट को हमें अभी तक हमने कवर नहीं किया है, बिकॉज वी आर अबाउट टू डू द डेवलपमेंट फॉर इट। So what is this approach we call? This approach actually we call here as nothing but what kind of approach? Test driven development approach. So this test driven development approach is also been followed by industries, and accordingly companies are saving their valuable time of a developers and allowing developers creativity will be used only on that thing which is essential expected code, not any unnecessary code. I know most of the time, whenever some juniors have been asked to work on a project, so during that time, juniors write lot of lines of code, but out of that lines of code might be something 60 to 70% lines of code would be not useful code. Okay, might be 30 to 35% code would be right code, exactly expected code, but other code is repeated code, and other that code is not at all required. There are a lot of unnecessary local variables would have been created. There are unnecessary method calls would have been there. Okay, so how do you identify in advance? You always identify in advance through this unit test. You will never allow your pressure to write those particular unnecessary 60 lines of code. If you ask, you write these lines of code, write lines of code which will have this particular output. You write such a kind of logic, under any circumstances, this test has to pass. So you just forget about everything about the project. You just concentrate only on that particular method and see if I give this kind of input and this is the kind of output I should get it here. Internally, what kind of logic, what kind of library, what kind of functions, what kind of condition statement, what kind of looping statement I should use it. And this is taking how much milliseconds? Have you observed here? यहाँ पे क्या दिखाई दे रहा है? Text execution के लिए कितना time आ रहा है? You get that information, so that this information also will give very good kind of guidelines to ensure that the application will always never compromise on performance. So I hope not any particular function is taking any more than something called like seconds. Okay, so before your applications every artifact goes on available for someone, I think that can be done inside this simplified way. Now one thing, can I come across, I think we were having on project template. Right click, add new project. When I type test, can you find this one word called playwright here? जैसे
Yes.
सेलेनियम नाम का एक वेब ऑटोमेशन टूल है ना, वैसे माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने खुद ने बनाया हुआ एक प्लेराइट सेम वैसे का वैसे टूल है. So you also wanted to do automation of your web UI testing. So you have another alternative for Selenium that is called Playwright. Selenium का एक template था ना, we just saw that Selenium template here. Let me just type Edge Selenium ऐसे कुछ तो था, Edge Selenium. हाँ, web driver test for Edge. But that is, what is driver it is using? Microsoft web driver.
Microsoft.
So we don't have any particular test directly as a web driver template available. Correct, no? Then what we can do inside this area? Have you observed what was that particular namespace was available? Open QA, na? Yes, package name. So tomorrow, if you want to use that similar kind of code for your automation testing inside that thing to be done inside, can I really go back? Type here simple C sharp Selenium driver program. Selenium with C sharp. How to use Selenium WebDriver in C sharp? Selenium WebDriver is a set of C sharp test cases are made for testing. For this purpose, you need to create a project using Visual Studio.NET. Then we have to go back to the search bar and we have to find the Selenium. Okay. Let me just use in my application environment. So can you just try this one? I come across Java point. So in this section, we will create a simple Selenium scripts in C# programming language with the help of Visual Studio.NET and NUnit framework. Good. So that we discuss all Selenium. What is that? We also know C#. We don't want to go for this discussion. We just want to focus on Selenium using C#. Do it using Visual Studio.NET. Okay. We have got Visual Studio.NET. We have got everything. Okay. Let's come back. The installation process given. We did the installation. We did all kind of stuff. Everything is done. We just to install. We selected these components. We did that stuff also. Okay. We set the Visual Studio environment. Now we are going to create a project. File, new, create project. Use C sharp. Select simple console application. Okay. Click simple console application. Done. Go back under this area. Open this particular reference. What is the thing? Now you need to add a reference for Visual Studio.NET. You need to search for Selenium WebDriver and Chrome driver. So can I just go back under this particular Visual Studio.NET, whatever we are just right now working inside console application? Do we have option here? Console application. Selenium WebDriver program. Next. Create. You have console application. Now under this console application, I wanted that package. So what we use? Manage NuGet packages, no? Because I wanted that Selenium WebDriver related API key library to be used. Go to the browse option. Try to look for did you see something? You have a library by Selenium Commuters, Selenium WebDriver. So this library I could use it for getting Selenium WebDriver script, whatever that grid was created. Select this. Selenium is a set of different software tools with a different approach to supporting browser automation. These tools are highly flexible, allowing many options for locating and manipulating this thing. Okay, and that will give you object-oriented API for doing your browser automation work. Install. And you want this Selenium web driver for Chrome, no? So can you just try Selenium web driver Chrome? Is there any other library for that also? Selenium web driver Chrome. Selenium web driver for Chrome. So we could just find when it was given latest 2024. Can I install this one? Another was that OpenQA. OpenQA. Selenium Chrome. OpenQA Selenium Chrome driver extensions. One is Selenium. I added. Now I really want to go back and try to find that particular sample code which I observed in downloads folder. Here is the code that was generated. OpenQA Selenium. That means I really wanted whatever logic, whatever variables are declared, that all kind of variables, this all kind of class, I really want to copy. So test.c# file. So might be you are trying to create a class where you wanted this whole logic to be taken care. So that means I really wanted this factual data which is written. I wanted to run under this component itself. Copy. Going back to my Visual Code. Here I wanted this code will be run. If I wanted this driver to be created, here I wanted the driver object to be created. That means whatever this particular code was shown to us here, I wanted the driver variable to be declared. It's a C# programming knowledge and the code integration we have to do it here. So let us create a variable of type iWebDriver. Let this WebDriver will be created by using the object of WebDriver.
Chrome web driver.
Chrome WebDriver. I'll go back under my program, and so that means we are trying to create the object of new Chrome driver. Now if you want to use that new Chrome driver, we wanted this class to be taken. If I want this class, I think I wanted that namespace, correct? Open QA namespace, it is there. It's been accessible. Good, right? Now these variables, JS, where they declare JS. I JavaScript executor. I JavaScript executor JS. This where might be my array.
I dictionary.
Yeah, I dictionary, yes. I dictionary of string objects. So I'm trying to make that same code operational in my Visual Studio.NET. So our same thing, whatever we're getting, now you will be able to run this program and the same thing is going to happen inside this area. Chrome. Now what is left? Actions. Or we are not able to get these actions. So actions, potential fixes, might be some namespace we are missing here. So it says you have to use OpenQA Selenium.interactions. Done. This bracket is no more required if I'm not. Yeah, this bracket is not required. You can see complete code. OpenQA Selenium, OpenQA Selenium.chrome, OpenQA Selenium.interactions. We are trying to create a Chrome driver. Now here only one thing we have to understand. If you are using a Chrome driver, we have to give the path of that particular Chrome driver, which is a component to be downloaded, which will help you to communicate with the Chrome. Correct, no? So यहाँ तो आपने Chrome driver लिखा है, लेकिन Chrome driver requires a path of that component. If I just go back and take help here itself, the full path of the directory containing Chrome driver.exe. You really require a Chrome driver.exe. So if you have a Chrome driver.exe, you will be able to give the path of that Chrome driver.exe inside this area. So let me just check Chrome driver.exe. So whenever you just go back on website, you type here Chrome driver, no? Chrome driver download. Chrome driver download. So Chrome driver, let's see, is it available here? So we have, I got totally into in the, we have different types of Chrome driver versions are available. Can you look for something called 65 version or something? 96 version. Latest versions of the Chrome driver, sometimes they doesn't work. What is the version of your Chrome? How do you check it? Tell me. I want to see what is the version of my Chrome
Setting. Inside setting.
setting. Help. Help about Chrome. So what is this version? 126, no? So if it is a 126, we are using 126 version. Chrome driver 11 and 12 सही के लिए Chrome driver for this supports Chrome version 14. Because if the version is not properly downloaded, no, we'll face a problem.
सर सर्च कर सकते हैं ना ऊपर
Where?
खोजे
Marathi. Mm, Chrome driver.exe. Let's see. This is the path we have to specify. But I want there's one particular official page shows you different types of Chrome driver list. Chrome driver. Just searching Chrome driver. Chrome driver. You can view the current implementation of status standard here. Chrome driver with Android, Chrome driver with Chrome OS, Chrome driver crashes. There's one page normally shown where all those versions and which version for which Chrome it has been mentioned. I'll show you because last time I downloaded that didn't work. That's why I'm showing you. Can you just look
Sir,
around
can
here?
you check?
If
I
someone
given
has
a
shared
link.
some link,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Enter. Okay. So stable is this one. Let us look for
Last one, 64.
Chrome driver. Linux. We want for Windows, correct? No? So that means we'll get this zip file. Let's copy.
It is, I think it is 32-bit.
64.
Fine, we'll use 64-bit. Even 30-bit also will work. Backward compatibility point of view. But still we'll try. Enter. Now that is getting downloaded here. Very good. Let's extract. Extract to downloads. CDAC. Okay. Now we downloaded. Let us go back and check under the downloads folder. Newly created folder. This is the folder, correct? No? Yes.
So
And what do you get inside? One exe. So this exe we have to, let's copy this. Let's go to D drive, DRV. So this was created somewhere, this thing. So let me just do one thing, DRV redact version. That is the old version of driver I actually tried. Now we have got this new path. So what I would do now, I will copy this path. Chrome driver.exe. And inside this code, here I have to mention that path. @ double quotes and the path. So what is the path? Chrome driver.exe, you know. So whenever using Chrome driver, we will pass the complete full path. What is saying? Initialize the instance class specifying the path of the directory containing that this path is sufficient. Give me the path of that directory where this Chrome driver.exe is available. Done. So we have kept here this thing variable. Let us make this project as a startup project. Let us come across. Is it built? Build. Now we wanted to ensure first this website is running. So I have to first keep that site running. So let me go back and find my that tab folder. D drive, Ravi. The TFL store application we wanted to run because that is what exactly we want to test, no? Tap TFL store. CMD, run. We use command node server.js. Enter. So server is running. Now let us come across and Chrome driver.exe is available. We have given the path. Hope this particular version will be suitable for this particular library. So can we run this program? Something wrong? What is the problem? There is some error. What is that error? This bracket we forgot to remove. Let us build again. Now build succeed. Okay, build succeed. Now this particular Selenium APIs, which is going to test our, which is going to have our web automation testing for our e-commerce application. We like to see it's getting work. Run. See, are you getting? Have you observed? All those things got perfectly work as per your expectations. Here's the black window of that console application. Hello world, starting Chrome driver 126.0.4 on port 62795. Only on local connections are allowed. So this was been launched. Let me show you screen properly. Let me again stop. Is everything what has been created? Can I just go back and again I launch? Again I launch. So what we observe? You may generate this script using Selenium ID tool, or you learn that each and every functions very detailed and understand your UI very well, and you write this particular code using C# and make this particular code as a part of that test. You are using find element, find element, find element. At the same time, you also get value called var element, find element, var element. So can I just do one thing inside this? I use asset functions in between. If I use that particular test project, ms test asset dot equal, and if that element equal to this element, then assert true or assert fails. That means I'll also check the values of all those things, find element, whether particular data is coming or not. So I will always return some kind of functions. What is the input data is received? Send keys like a get keys is a function available. So I'll always get the data, take that data and use assert function and just see. And I'll come to know if this particular Selenium work has been taken care and my expected result complete or not. And my test will say test pass or fail. This is what exactly actually we see your Selenium APIs, and we also understand the role of this particular Chrome exe. But this Chrome exe, where it runs, there are three things are working inside this area. What is the Node.js process? Second is the Chrome, and third is the Chrome.exe, the Chrome driver.exe. Chrome driver.exe is actually going to take the commands. Okay, Chrome driver.exe is always going to be accessed by whom? By your .NET code. ये आपका .NET का कोड चालू हो गया, उस कोड का मेन फंक्शन कॉल हुआ, उसने पहला काम किया, give me the Chrome driver object. So automatically the path of that exe we are given. So correspondingly internally the instance of that exe was created in a background. Its reference was given as a driver, and after that every method for that driver, that exe we were targeting. यानी जो भी सारे आपने यहाँ पे functions लिखे वो सारे function टारगेट किससे कर रहे हैं बताइए? ये सारे फंक्शन उस chrome.exe को टारगेट कर chrome driver.exe को टारगेट किया जा रहा है और chrome driver.exe किससे कम्युनिकेट कर रहा है एक chrome automatically started and behind those all commands have been fired and this particular chrome is now talking to your node.js application and you are finding the html page is getting displayed then again chrome driver is giving the next command again server request goes and again something again next command and the work is taken place. So my chrome driver.exe is acting that robot or AI tool and taking this job just within 3 seconds, which a manual tester would might take something 5 to 6 minutes. So spending your 5 to 6 minutes time and spending your 2 seconds, it's a huge difference. That is what we normally see as a Selenium automation testing part. Has any another kind of work you have done during your Selenium testing part, Ron?
I do
Something?
only functional testing, sir.
Acha, you are only doing the functional testing. Functional testing means whether this
UI,
particular data getting displayed, whether these
yes,
images are
yes,
getting shown, correct? No?
yes, sir.
Okay. Means under
And
function
and
function.
postman work,
Yeah.
API
You know
test.
what is the meaning of functional testing?
Only the जो जो कंपोनेंट रहते हैं मतलब वेब पेज पे डॉक्यूमेंट पे उसकी टेस्टिंग करने की इसके बाद ये क्या होगा इस बार क्लिक पे क्या कौन सा पेज ओपन होना चाहिए ऐसा।
Okay, that means the main purpose of your functional testing was to test the navigations of your web pages properly, correct? No?
Yes,
So
yes,
different walkthroughs you need to simulate, correct? No?
yes,
And different walkthroughs you simulate and see whether as per that way the site is working or not, correct? No?
yes, sir.
So that is what exactly we were trying to do it, correct? No?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that kind of lines of code, how many lines of code would have been there for some particular thing? Maximum lines of code, how much it have reached in your case?
50 to 60 approx. For login page is almost 5 to 6 lines, 5 lines
Yeah.
only.
But think about if it would have been like a registration page.
Uh,
Think if it would have been something like
it
grid.
approx 25 or 26 lines.
That means as number of HTML elements keep go on increasing within your web pages, I think that particular simulation part lines of code will be keep on increasing. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
And thing is going to take in place. So here, this is what we have learned. What is unit testing? What is unit framework? What is unit testing? What is X unit? What is N unit? Then what is exactly MS test project? Correct, no? Suppose you want to go for testing for API testing, then what do you do? So normally for API testing, everyone know that you can always use Postman tool, no? And for
Postman.
that Postman tool, you always pass your payload and you always pass your URL and try to see what is the expected output normally comes. But using this Visual Studio.NET, we can also write some kind of automated scripts which will does the testing of a API also. I hope I may have because somewhere in May we were trying to do some kind of work. Actually, we created a project. Under the project, is it kept testing solution? Testing solution, not that one. Complete project was created. One solution was created. Test solution. Let me see. No. I think I have one repository. Software testing. In May, we were doing that thing. One of my student from NoIT, she joined a company and she was working there as a tester for Java. Almost for 3 years, she was working there as a Java automation test engineer, and she was using this Selenium and all kind of JUnit kind of framework for doing the testing for their own products. But somewhere in 1 year before, that company got merged into Microsoft. So she also become employee of Microsoft. And as the company was totally taken over by Microsoft, so all kind of Microsoft rules and regulations and their own kind of like a culture was been there. And now they said that we wanted you all automation test engineers to work on our customers project for automation testing. But for that thing, the automation test you will do it using C sharp. And she learned this particular C sharp somewhere in 2020, if I'm not wrong. 2020, when the COVID got started, 2019 or 2020?
20.
March 2020.
20.
March
Just
20.
yeah, 2019 batch. So 2019 batch, she learned C sharp, and now in 2024, after such a long duration, how someone can remember the syntax of C sharp? And if you are so continuously working with the Java, correct, no? So that time in May, she came in touch and she said, "Ki Ravi sir, I really wanted ki, how this whole kind of testing can be done, how exactly web API testing can be done, how exactly control testing can be done of a C sharp projects, how exactly unit testing can be done, how exactly load testing can be done for that thing, how exactly API testing can be done." Okay, so during that time, actually, for explanation for her, actually I created that particular folder that I wanted to see. If I get it here, no, I'll share with you also. HTTP colon GitHub. Let me close this browser. There's so much kind of work goes on. So that's why I always try to keep collecting, keep keeping my things in a GitHub, so that in future that could be helpful for someone, where I could just say the link and they would be benefited from that thing. So here, not this. Repositories. Can I find software testing somewhere here? TFI.NET. Solutions. Vijay Sales Solution. Telecommerce Mate 24. I did for all baby pay test and everything. Just not to be able to remember where did I keep it. Blogger chart solution, e-commerce solution. Anyhow, I'll just do one thing. Once you come back after lunch, no, by that time I'll just keep searching, and once I found it, I'll again share with you. Okay. So what we would do now, we would be back at 1:30, and that time I wanted you will try this on your machine. You will try to create a simple application. You will try to learn the process of downloading that particular Chrome driver, and you will try to make sure you will be able to see that simple Selenium driver API. You can try. You can try using Java as well. No worries. Only thing you require a Java project to be created, and that jar file for Selenium you need to download, and rest of the code is just like a Java in Eclipse. You can try that one. And whatever today I explained about unit testing, that you'll try during lab time. If anyone faces problem, I'll be there. Okay, and by that time, I'll also make that folder shareable with you. Done. So often time, totally hands-on time.
Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Can we make our local MySQL available on the EC2 instance?
Yes. You can always go back to the EC2 instance. Okay. It is exactly you get that particular simple terminal. Use your Linux command to install MySQL instance. No?
No, I was asking if I can make the local that we are installing on the laptop.
No. Would you please repeat? You said something.
I mean, I am asking if we can use that local MySQL that we have installed on our laptops. That can we make that available on our EC2 instances, or we will need to
No.
install it in server?
No. You cannot see. If you can, but the process like that way. If you have a local machine is connected to the internet. But whatever IP address is assigned to you, that IP address is like a dynamic IP address assigned to you. No?
Yes, sir.
So if you want your local MySQL instance to be used anywhere outside world, you need to see that your machine will be getting a static IP address. If your laptop gets a static IP address, then definitely you can access it in EC2 instance also.
Okay, sir.
Okay. That is the only way. Done.
And what will be the connection string, sir, for connecting MySQL with our EC2 instances? That Node.js.
IP address. You always write in that thing that HTTP localhost, no? Correct, no?
Yes, sir. But since if we
Localhost.
yeah, okay.
We replace that localhost and we put the IP address, static IP address. Username password remains same thing because that is your own database username password, correct, no?
Yes, sir. Okay, got it.
So everything remains same, only IP address is supposed to be replaced. That's it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Chalo. See you then after 1 hour. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.